Hi everyone, I'm Gary Nolan. I'd like to welcome you all to a special webinar presentation. Our theme today is that it's not your fault that you're overweight, and millions of Americans are overweight for different reasons. My intent during this program today is to explore why we're an overweight nation and what can we do in a very easy manner to get the weight off, be healthier, and keep that weight off. I will be taking questions throughout the entire seminar. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give some input and then take your questions. So please be thinking now, what are the most important questions involving being overweight? And rarely do you have a person who's overweight without a problem. And sometimes there are many: high blood pressure, diabetes, atherosclerosis, arthritis, dementia. There's an awful lot of other problems that come with being overweight. And I want to begin today by seeing who's in our audience. You know something about me. Unfortunately, I don't know a thing about you, but I'd like to. I'd like to know who's listening. So if you would please, during this discussion, if you could just put down, aside from your name, put down, have you attended any previous workshops, webinars, health retreats, the sleepaway retreats that I do, or health support groups? In fact, I just did a health support group a week ago. Did any of you attend it? We had a good group of people, and it was very hot in the church we were at, very, very hot, very uncomfortable, and it was difficult for people to hear. And I said it'd be a lot easier, a lot more comfortable if you didn't have to leave your home and travel, and you could be in a cool and nice environment. So that's what we're going to do. Separately, what's your profession? Are you retired? And if you are retired, what did you do when you were working during your active work life? These are questions, all of which are important, because sometimes being overweight is directly related to the work we do or do not do. And how long have you been overweight? How long have you suffered from the problems that you're now faced with? So these are all important issues. But let's begin with what I call a classroom on the air. What do I mean? I mean, let's go into depth on things. Now, some of you will know some of this information. Others, it'll be a new place to begin. I believe that there are 7 basic steps we all have to take. Even if you're a PhD in human nutrition and public health science, like I am, a registered dietitian, which I am, I'm board certified in nutritional sciences, which I am, an adjunct professor of nutrition science and a research fellow at the Institute of Applied Biology for over 30 years. All of that is true, but even when I'm doing something, I still have to go through 7 steps. So I'm going to give you those 7 steps today, but I'm also going to give that to you in a context of how we can make just basic, fundamental changes. If you've been listening to me on the radio, a theme that I try to share all the time is that please do not confuse the complexity of a problem with the simplicity of its solutions. I find most solutions are relatively self-evident. I find most problems are convoluted, where if you start going after the problem without understanding how simple the solution is, you're never going to have a solution. So I'm going to share those with you all today. But let's begin by looking at how important is our diet. And this is only the first step. I'm going to get to everything. But again, I'm going to give you information, then I'm going to take a break, and then take the issues that are important in your life. So, according to the latest Federal Advisory Panel on Nutrition, nearly half of all American adults have at least one preventable chronic illness, and it's related to diet and lack of physical activity. In addition, 37% of all women in the United States are obese, and another 30% are overweight. Well, that means 67% of all women have weight problems. And the situation is not new. Many medical practitioners and the public at large are finally acknowledging what the natural healing community has known for ages. A good diet, and I'll discuss that in depth, can not only promote health, but also prevent disease. Today it is customary to talk about how food choices affect overall well-being and help ward off heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, osteoporosis, depression, and myriad other ailments. And most people are also aware that a healthy diet can decrease the risk of disease by reducing predisposing conditions like being overweight, having high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. So eating what you might call a balanced diet is the most effective way to ensure that our bodies receive the nutrients we need. But you'll find out today that just eating all the right nutrients in the right foods in and of itself does not guarantee that those foods will be properly digested and fully absorbed, utilized at the cellular level, and then the excess eliminated. You can eat a good diet, but if you're eating under stress, if you're not, for example, if you're not exercising, if you're constipated, then an awful lot of the nutrients that should be in your cells are not utilized, but simply being wasted and are going to be passed out of the body with dead cells, bacteria, and ligocellulose. So we're going to talk about how do we get the food in, and then how do we make sure it's maximally utilized. So it's also important to know how is our food grown, how is it processed, because that's also important. So eating properly means selecting unprocessed or minimally processed foods. You want to avoid pesticides, dyes, and wax coatings, because the apple you're eating, it's got a wax coating on it. You may not see it, it's there. The orange that you thought was really tasty, well, if the whole thing is orange, the likelihood is it's not organic, because when oranges and citrus are growing, the sun can't hit the fruit evenly. So the part that is facing the sun, that'll get more orange color, but the one that's facing the inner part of the tree, where the sun doesn't hit, that doesn't. So you want to make sure that it has been dyed, and most of the citrus in America has been dyed, because we're used to having a yellow orange and a green lime and an orange orange and a yellow grapefruit. So now we want to include in our diet a wide variety of whole grains, legumes, vegetables, fruits, and nuts, and seeds that supply nutrients also. And sometimes supplements are necessary. And juices from watermelons, raspberries, pomegranates, tomatoes are filled with phytochemicals. And why would I want you to have a lot of those? Because they're low in calories and they have nutrients, the phytochemicals that are known to repair your DNA and prevent disease like cancer. We should also be thinking about how to break some of our bad eating habits. So quite simply, nutrition is the way the body makes use of foods to meet its needs for growth, repair, and maintenance. And there are 6 major groups of nutrients. They're the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins, the vitamins, minerals, and water. You need all these nutrients every day. But how much you require depends upon your health as well as your energy needs. And along with the understanding of these basic nutrients, you also need to be aware of the air you breathe, the balance of enzymes in your body, and the function of the antioxidants in helping your body to combat disease and degenerative processes. Let's take these one at a time, and I'm going to give you the lay language understanding. First, carbohydrates. Until recently, carbohydrates had gotten bad press. And this is because the highly sugared, refined carbohydrates such as candy and soft drinks and sweetened cereals have been lumped together with the complex carbohydrates like nutritious vegetables, starchy vegetables, rutabaga, parsnips, turnips, sweet potatoes, yams, whole grains, and tubers like breadfruit, and which is terrific for you, and you can get it at most stores. In fact, because of the more diverse ethnic groups now shopping in mainstream stores, they've started to include things that you wouldn't have found normally, like a lot of different tubers. There are at least 10 different types of tubers that are easy to get, and we need them. Now, refined carbohydrates are those that do not have the processing. You don't want the processing. Refined carbohydrates have almost no nutritional value. Refined may, in fact, be an overly refined way of putting it. Have you been looking at food and thinking how good it tastes without asking, how much fiber am I getting? Is this going to help my skeletal bones, my muscles, because the complex carbohydrates will do that. Refinement is a recent innovation in our long history of evolution and food consumption and food delivery. When carbohydrates are refined, they're stripped of their outer shell. That's the bran layer that contains most of the fiber. They're stripped of their oil and the B complex, which is found in the germ. And refined carbohydrates are also generally bleached, milled, baked, puffed, or otherwise processed. And refining carbohydrates is simply bad to the bone. And what's worse, they can harm us. They contain little to no fiber, so reliance on them as a source of energy can lead to poor intestinal health, constipation, and pressure diseases, and myriad digestive disorders. Also, overconsumption of any refined sugar or carbohydrates linked to obesity, diabetes, and blood sugar disorders. The fats, on the other hand, we're getting too many calories from fats. Our indulgence in fatty foods has taken its toll by contributing to weight gain as well as degeneration of the heart and blood vessels. Also, you're getting twice the calories per gram from fat as you do from protein or carbohydrate. You're getting at least 8 calories per gram from fat, 9 with alcohol, 4 from protein and 4 from carbohydrate. So we want to reduce the amount of saturated fat and cholesterol in our diets in order to decrease some of the blood levels, and that helps prevent heart disease and reduce the risk of certain cancers. However, you never want to avoid fats altogether. That's extremely dangerous. They're an important part. And fats contain an alcohol called glycerol and fatty acids. And certain fatty acids can be manufactured by the body. Others can only be obtained from foods. And there are 2 types of fats, saturated and unsaturated. Saturated fats are found in, with the exception of coconut oil as an example, in animal foods and dairy products. And I do not recommend that you eat anything that has a face or heartbeat. You don't need it. It's non-necessary. And saturated fats are found in these animal foods. And although needed by the body in small quantities, they have been associated with increased blood levels of the bad LDL cholesterol and an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease. And also pain, because you get the arachidonic acid, which is a byproduct of animal fats. And the unsaturated fats are primarily found in grains and legumes and seeds and nuts and the oils derived from them. So if you were to have a handful of almonds or walnuts, sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds or sesame seeds, you're getting fat, but that's a good fat. Eating an avocado is a good fat. Having coconut and coconut oil, that's a good fat, because they provide us with the essential fatty acids that the body cannot make on its own, including the omega-6 family derived from plant oils. But you don't want to go heavy on the omega-6s, because if you have too many omega-6s and too few omega-3s, then you end up having high levels of inflammation, and that can lead to cancer. So you want to go easy or not at all on, let's say, an oil like peanut oil or cottonseed oil or a refined sunflower oil. In fact, any oil that is clear, I wouldn't use. Because in nature, in the plant, oils are not clear. They're generally dark. Even olive oil should be dark, especially the first pressed virgin olive oil. Now, I've been to Italy, and I've been to France, and I've been to Spain, I've been to the Mediterranean many times, and I can tell you what you eat in the way of olive oil in those countries is completely different than the oil that we get in America, because it's much stronger. Of course, it's much healthier. We also want olive oil. Olive oil is what is called a monounsaturated fat, and that helps protect the heart by lowering the bad LDL cholesterol and raising the good HDL cholesterol. And also, when you're having too many of these clear oils, the ones you see right in the bottle and there's no little particulate matter, well, that's not good, because that increases your risk of heart disease, asthma, and stroke, and cancer. And trans fats, which you don't want at all, are created by partial hydrogenation, the process by which oils are made more solid. And many types of margarine and shortening and pastries and prepared foods And French fries, potato chips contain trans fats. They've been found to increase the risk of heart disease over the past decade. And you really want to restrict them because they're going to play havoc with your health. Then we have the proteins. Now, meat has become the most prominent and expensive source of protein in the average American diet. Despite the belief by many people that we should be getting all of our protein from meat, there are other sources. Some people get them from grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and that's terrific. In fact, there is no need whatsoever for any animal proteins in our diet. A plant-based protein, these are completely compatible with our lives. Grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds are more than adequate, and they're healthy, where meat and dairy, they're not healthy. And proteins are the building blocks of life. They're the basic materials from which all cells and tissues and organs are constructed. The optimal intake of high-quality protein allows the body to grow and maintain healthy bones and skin and teeth and muscles and nerves. Protein is also an important source of energy. Now, amino acids are the chief components of protein. Some amino acids can be created by the body itself. 8 amino acids cannot, and a 9th by pregnancy, and they can't be created by your body, and therefore they must be obtained from the diet. These are called the essential amino acids. They are threonine, valine, tryptophan, lysine, methionine, histidine, phenylalanine, and isoleucine. And amino acids are vital for certain vitamins and minerals to be utilized. All the necessary amino acids are present simultaneously in sufficient amounts so that cells can make the proteins they need to grow. Now, the current recommendation, according to the U.S. Institute of Medicine, is that adults should consume 10 to 35% of their calories from protein. Pregnant and lactating women need more. But let me make it even simpler. If you are a normal weight man, let's say 5'10" to 6 feet, and you're in your mid-30s, you can get by on about 55 grams of protein to 60 a day. If you're a larger man and you're athletic, you'll probably go to 70 grams of protein a day. If you're a woman and you're slightly built and you're in your mid-40s, you'll probably need about 40 grams a day. And if you're a very athletic woman, older or younger, you can probably go to 50, 60 grams a day. Here's the problem. Do the math. Let's just say that you watch any of these cooking shows. They always show you very popular restaurants in different cities to go to. Well, you go in there, and this restaurant in Nashville, this one in Louisville, this one in Austin, they're all famous for their big servings. And those big servings are way beyond anything the body can handle in its metabolism or its needs. And protein doesn't get stored in the body. So whatever you're eating, it must be utilized. If you let's say you eat a steak, and the steak is 16 ounces, well, half that steak is going to be fat, and the other half will be protein. So let's just use the math. Let's say that we have 16 ounces, and 8 ounces of that times 4, and that gives us the amount of grams of protein. So we're actually getting 32, that's 8 ounces, and you've got 8 ounces, and you've got 28 grams to an ounce. So it's 28 grams. You're getting 224 grams of protein in one steak. All right, 224. That's an awful lot of protein. Remember how much I said you need? Between 40 and 60? Well, let's just round off, say you need 50 grams in a day. You're talking about getting more grams in one item in one meal than you would need normally in 5 days. So we are way over consuming protein. I used to have a friend named Robert Atkins. He was the author of the Atkins Diet. We were good friends for over 20 years, till he died. We would go out to dinner a lot. I would have my vegan dish, and he would have his meat dish. And at one of these particular dinners, because normally with my friends, we never discuss our differences. We accept them. And if you want to keep your friends, then that's a good advice, because if you start demanding your friends be a mirror example of you, you're going to be alone. You just might as well look in the mirror and talk to yourself. You have to accept people for who they are. And the general rule is, as long as there's more positive things about a person than negative, then accept the positive, enjoy the friendship, and let the negative go. So that's why I can have a friend who's an atheist, and one who's a priest, and one who's a nun, and one who's a Sikh, and one who's an imam. And that's true. I've had all these people as friends, and one who's an agnostic or an atheist, because that's not what we're going to share. No one's going to proselytize. We're all going to respect each other's boundaries. So needless to say, I have to respect everyone's boundaries about the health choices they make, even when they're making clearly unhealthy choices. And the only time they ever talk to me about their health is when it's in jeopardy, and then they want me to come and help, at that moment. And of course I do. So imagine I'm watching someone eat a steak that there's no place to store it, so it's going to break down in the body, what is called deaminization. So the amino acids are going to be broken down, and you're going to have urea and ammonium. Now, those are two byproducts of protein that the body can't eat, and that's going to be toxic to the liver and to the kidneys. And that meat has no fiber. So once it's in the intestine, it doesn't go smoothly, because there's fat in that meat also. So what's going to happen is, when you're taking in 224 grams of protein from one item in a meal, you're going to have other items. And that's only one meal in a day. You may have had 3 other meals. You could be easily getting 300 grams of protein in one day. Nobody needs 300 grams of protein, but people think they do, because we've been propagandized and we have been motivated to believe, oh, we need all this protein. We don't. In fact, some of the longest lived creatures on earth, the Galapagos turtle, the longest lived, and elephants, 100 years, they're vegan. And some of the shortest lived creatures on earth, the cat family, lions, tigers, ocelots, jaguars, panthers, cougars, they live short lives, very short, 8 to 10, sometimes 12 years. In captivity, where they're drinking clean water and eating on a regular basis, they might live 20, 24 years, some rare exceptions. Gorillas, chimpanzees can live into their 80s. So we're eating as if we're eating for 3 people when it comes to protein, but that protein has very toxic side effects. It can cause high blood pressure, constipation. And the breakdown products of that protein, because you're not eating it raw, you're eating it cooked. And the cooking process for protein creates a byproduct. And the byproduct is called heterocyclic amines. The heterocyclic amines are a known carcinogen. But we almost never have protein by itself. We generally have it as on a bun or with bread. And that, making that bun or bread, you have a byproduct. And that byproduct of the acrylamides is also a known carcinogen. So you have 2 cancer-causing agents at the same meal. So when I said, Bob, you realize that a high-protein diet is not a healthy diet. You're giving people far more calories than what their body can consume, and they're going to gain weight. And his comment at that particular night, and I never will forget it, was an Indian restaurant over right off 58th and Park Avenue. He said, here's the theory, Gary. He said, I'm aware of that. He said, but I also know that by them eating that meat's going to take probably 6 to 7 hours just to get out of their stomach. And therefore, they're going to create satiety, or staying, meaning you're not hungry. So if you put something into a person's body that kills their appetite, now imagine all the snacks and the candies and the desserts that they'd be eating after that. So they're far less likely to have a strong appetite after they have meat and fat, because fat is very satisfying. It satisfies the appetite. So of course, they're going to get more fat and more protein what their body needs. But they're also going to be able to lose some weight, because they're going to have less appetite, and eat the junk food. Okay, there's logic to that. I certainly understand it. But I also explained to him, I said, Bob, if you got people out exercising and you got them eating a plant-based diet that didn't have all the calories, because there's far less calories in a plant-based diet than there is a animal-based diet, you're going to get people losing weight, but they're going to lose weight and have healthy kidneys and healthy colon, healthy digestion, healthy liver, and a healthy heart and a healthy brain, healthy arteries, healthy. He said, and this another, and because he's a good friend, and because we weren't professional friends, we were close personal friends. And like with Marty Feldman, he was my friend till he passed 2.5 years ago after 45 years of friendship. And Marty didn't eat healthy either. He pretended to be healthy when he'd go out with me, but I knew he was pretending. He was eating deli food almost every day, and he didn't exercise, and he didn't take supplements. But in any case, what a brain though. Graduated #1 at Yale College, graduated top of his class at Columbia College Physician Surgeon, published over 63 articles in peer-reviewed literature, was associate professor in neurology, board certified. All at a young age. He had a lot of good gray matter between those ears and was a wonderful intellect. And you couldn't have asked for a better friend. But in any case, when I walked fast and we'd be walking the movies and he'd be struggling to stay up, he would just laugh about it. That was his exercise for the week when we'd walk down to Lincoln Center to see an art film. Well, Bob didn't even do that. But I understood his logic. And his logic is good. What he was not saying, and he didn't say this, I don't want to accuse him of saying something he didn't, but what he was really intimating was, Gary, the American public are lazy. They want something to change in their bodies, but they don't want to be the architects of that change. So if you think the average American is going to go out and start exercising, and if you think they're going to go and learn new ways of cooking and go to restaurants, Indian restaurants or other restaurants, Thai restaurants, Japanese restaurants, Chinese restaurants that have healthy foods, it's just not going to happen. People want what they like. They have specific taste. They're not going to alter those tastes no matter what you or I or anybody else wants for them. And he's right. Because I haven't seen that. And I've been in the health field a long time. Only when people have an absolute unmitigated crisis, blocked arteries, then they'll change. I'll give you an example. There was a man who came to my office with his wife and daughter. The daughter didn't even get out of the car. Down at the Tri-State Healing Center. And the wife came up and said, I'd like you to speak to my husband. He's got some serious health problems. I said, well, show him in. Well, he can't walk up the steps. He's got 95+% block occlusion of his carotid artery. So I walked down the stairs, and we sat on the stoop of the building for about 2 hours. Really nice guy. He's an engineer, and he was in his 70s. And he said, well, it's really very simple. Because I'm an engineer, and I like to deal in facts, I looked at what would be the chance of me surviving the heart surgery that they're recommending. And I got a 16% chance of dying on the operating table. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a high percentage. So I'm thinking, what is the chance if I change? And my doctor says, it won't work. It doesn't, there's no science supporting it. But I'd heard about you, and I thought, I'll come. And my wife teaches nursing. And my daughter's a physician, and she doesn't believe in you or this stuff. So I said, okay. So I told him what would be necessary. His name was Ed Finkelstein, as nice a person as you could meet. So he started the protocol, but I said to him, Ed, visualize you're on one side of the Grand Canyon. On the other side is health. How much effort are you going to make? And he thought, and he said, well, that's self-evident, isn't it? He said, if I make anything less than 100%, I end up at the bottom, dead. I'm going to give this 110%. I said, good for you. Because most people I ask this question to, because of their conditioning, their beliefs, their maladaptive behavior, their poor habits, the ritual of their meals, and how they resolve emotional issues by getting something that's sweet and soft or crunchy and salty, they're not going to say 110%. They're going to say, I'll give it my best. The best is death. So that's not an answer. That's an outcome. So anyhow, he gave it 110%. At some point in that process, months later, his wife came in one day when he was in there getting some therapies, chelation therapy, which is based upon the Greek word chele, which is claw-like, which takes heavy metals out of your body. It's one of the ways we break down fat in the clogged arteries and help repair the epithelial tissue, the lining of the arteries. And she had Bell's palsy. And if you've seen anyone with Bell's palsy, they have like their faces pulled down, one side of their face is pulled down, and they slur. And it's a virus, and it really can affect them terribly. They're fatigued. They frequently have loss of balance. And when I asked her, I said, what's the prognosis? She said, well, you might imagine there's nothing good that can be done with this. It could take years even to get my speech back. I said, well, what if we got it back in a month? She said, that's not possible. I said, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely 100% right. When you say you can't get it back, nor your medical community, but I can. So she was negative and cynical, but she decided to try it because she'd already seen improvements in her husband. His energy was up. He was sleeping through the night. He didn't have the pains in his chest. So she tried high-dose intravenous vitamin C with aqua vitamin A and ozone. And lo and behold, in 2 weeks, her Bell's palsy was gone. That made a believer out of her. So now she decided to do the protocol with him. And they began to exercise. In Central Park. They come out on Sundays where we had our running and walking club, which we still do, and they would train. In time, they were getting ahead of even where I had expected them to be. And within a year, they were racing. And over the next 10 years, Dolly and Ed Finkelstein were voted by achievement, not popular achievement, the USA Track and Field Outstanding Senior Athletes in their age group for the year, the Metropolitan Athletic Congress Outstanding Athletes per year, the New York Red Wing Club Outstanding Athletes per year. They were the fastest senior athletes in America year after year after year after year after year. They become almost legends in their field. Again, nicer people you couldn't meet. They were wonderful people. But they put it all together. They just didn't put one piece of the puzzle. They put the whole puzzle together. That's the key. So anyhow, when I counseled a lot of Robert Atkins patients. A lot of people didn't lose weight. Some people did, but they had side effects from that program. And I would look at what the diet was doing. Well, a high-protein diet, a high-fat diet, clogs the arteries, causes constipation, and it causes massive inflammation because of the arachidonic acid from that diet. The other day I was walking up the street. I was going up and get myself a lunch, and on the street I met Celia Farber. She's an outstanding journalist. And Celia was just on the phone with her father, and she said, Dad, guess who I'm standing in front of? Gary. And I could hear his voice saying, Gary, no, put him on. So I got on the phone and I said, hi, Barry. Her father's Barry Farber, a legend in radio broadcasting. And I remember the first time I met Barry back in 1970, he called me at night, like 7 o'clock at night, said, Gary, no, I hear that you know something about nutrition. I said, I know something. He said, well, you're a Southerner. I'm a Southerner. Would you come down to WR where I do a program from midnight to 6 a.m. and let's two Southern boys talk about rutabaga. Okay, so I went down and we talked about a lot more than rutabaga. We talked about ethics, morality, respect for our parents, and and civility and a lot of things we got into that night about our own personal upbringing. And nutrition, yes, and rutabaga, yes. Well, Barry, about a month later, called me on a Saturday morning. He said, Gary, I got some problem. I said, what's your problem, Barry? He said, I'm sitting in my kitchen floor. I can't get up. Why can't you get up, Barry? He said, because I've got excruciating pain. So bad, I can't even put any pressure upon my foot from, and I said, you got a lot of purines, you got uric acid, and you've got gout. He said, yeah, I got gouty arthritis in my foot. What can I do? I said, well, I'm willing to help you, Barry, but are you willing to make a complete change? He said, completely. He was on a high protein diet. I said, get off all animal proteins, get off all animal fats. I gave him a protocol, and specifically. 2 hours later, after his family member got him the nutrients and got him drinking some juices, pain went down. By the end of the day, there was no pain. He's never had pain since. I believe Barry is now 87 years of age, still broadcasting. How about that? That would mean he's been a broadcaster nonstop for about 57 years. Now that means that he is in that pantheon of the longest career broadcasters uninterrupted in American history. That's a long career. I thought mine was long. I've been on WBI for 41 years, broadcasting 45 years, because you have to add in WMCA before that. And yeah, but he's way up there. In any case, he's an example of what happens when you radically change your diet, get off meat and animal proteins and sugars, and start to change. Now let's go back to that other part I was mentioning. So if half of our steak is giving us 224 grams protein, which is almost a week's supply, but it's also giving us 242 grams of fat. Now, once again, it's not 28.35 grams to an ounce because you're getting more calories. You're getting twice the calories. So let's look at the calories you're getting. If you say you're getting 40, let's just make it simple, and you're getting 1,100 plus calories in that meal. It's simple. 28 times 6 gives you 168 times 8 times 8 equals 1,344 calories just from the fat. You're getting over 2,000 calories in one steak in one meal. Now you start to see why we have been misled about, oh, go on a high protein diet. No, you go on a high protein diet, you have as much a chance of having a heart disease and clogged arteries and constipation. So I just want to show you why the quality of the proteins, if you had grains and legumes and nuts and seeds and tubers and starchy vegetables and simple vegetables and fruits, that's not going to happen. So now you should understand the quality of the food that you're going to get. Then we're going to go to the vitamins. The vitamins act as cofactors or catalysts in enzyme reactions throughout your body. They enable those enzyme reactions to proceed at a faster pace than they would if the vitamin was not present. Vitamins exist in one of two forms, water-soluble and fat-soluble. And water-soluble vitamins dissolve quickly and cannot be stored in the body. As soon as you're exposed to water or blood, they dissolve and then are excreted. A fat-soluble vitamin is stored in the fatty tissues and they don't dissolve. They can accumulate in the body. They don't need to be replenished every day, but can accumulate over time. The ones you should know about are vitamin A and D and E and K. All the rest are water soluble. But most Americans don't take vitamins. Most Americans are nutrient deficient in magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin K. And then we need minerals. Minerals serve as the building materials for bones and teeth and tissue and muscles and blood and nerve cells. And they help spur many biological reactions in the body and maintain the fragile balance of fluids. We need minute amounts of minerals. In fact, they constitute only about 4 to 5% of our total body weight, but they're very important, like calcium, chromium, iodine, iron, magnesium, manganese, potassium, selenium, sodium, and zinc. And then we need enzymes. Enzymes are so important. These are the catalysts of life. Enzymes are like the spark plugs in a car. And we need that in order to maintain proper weight. But when you're eating a normal diet, the enzymes have been destroyed by the cooking, the processing, the denaturing process. And that allows more free radicals in the body, which then damage our DNA. And when they damage your DNA, they speed up your aging process and disease process. So you need enzymes, antioxidants, in order to have a way of maintaining some control over all these free radicals. Every day you have about 10,000 cell alterations per cell. Now, if you have, let's just say, anywhere from 40 to 100 trillion cells in your body, let's round it off and let's just say 50 trillion. That's 50 trillion times 10,000. That's how many times a day your cells are damaged, attacked by interleukin and cytokines and free radicals. So the more antioxidants you have in your body, the more you trap those free radicals, neutralize them. And that's why I take my antioxidants 6 times a day. I take them in the morning before I go for a workout, because if I'm taking vitamin C and vitamin E and coenzyme Q10 and magnesium and cayenne and L-carnitine prior to my workout, that means that my blood is thinner. That's good. It means my circulation is enhanced, especially with ginkgo. That's better. It means that the heart is going to be in more natural rhythm and more relaxed. That's terrific. And then after the workout, you have the same antioxidants in order to compensate for the what is called oxidative stress that has come more free radicals from the exercise. Yes, when you exercise, you're going to increase the endorphins, which are natural opiates, natural feel-good hormones in the body. So if you went for a 45-minute workout in the morning, you're going to feel good for the next 6 hours. So if you did 2 workouts a day, you did 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening, 12 hours a day, half the day, you're going to feel a whole lot better. You're going to have less depression, anxiety, stress. You're also going to tone your muscles. You're going to burn fat in the muscle. Remember, by the time you see fat on your belly, under your arms, on your buttocks, on your thighs, that means that the cells have been so saturated with fat that there's no more room in the cell to expand with fat, so it spills out. So you could do 10,000 sit-ups. It's not going to make a single bit of difference to the fat on your belly. But if you went out power walking or power biking, yes, then you're burning up the cell's fat because you're doing metabolic activity. It's your metabolism that controls your weight. And the more sedentary you are, the slower your metabolism. So when you exercise in the morning, you burn more calories even when you're sleeping at night. And every 2 hours you should stand up and do about 1 minute of deep knee bends or half knee bends to get circulation going in your legs. You should even keep some light weights by your desk or couch, wherever you're at, so you can curl them. That stimulates muscle contraction, it burns up muscle fat, and lays down more protein. So anyhow, when we're taking in the right nutrients, all kinds of wonderful things happen. And I definitely believe you should not have any cow dairy at all. Dairy is the #1 source of saturated fat in the average American diet. And we're seeing an epidemic rise in its use. And it's not good for us. Broadly speaking, I never recommend the consumption of dairy products because you're more likely to have genetic engineered materials in your body. Only humans drink other species' milk, and it's not going to help you. Remember, a little heifer might weigh 60 pounds when it's born. It goes to about 900 pounds within the first year. And that's because the milk and all the nutrients in it, the colostrum. So you don't need it. It also has a lot of pus in it because of infections in there. You couldn't tell it. And there's also a lot of antibiotics in there. You could consume that. It's been pasteurized and homogenized, and just stay away from it. Also stay away from sugar. Sugar is an easy way to put weight on, but it's sweet suicide. Sugary foods are almost always depleted in essential nutrients. So what do they do when they take the natural flavor out of something by processing? They put in extra sugar and salt, both of which are harmful. So get off the sugar, get off the salt. If you want something to taste salty, use lemon juice or lime juice. It will do the trick. So let's make a list now of some of the foods that we should have on a regular basis in order to get the weight off and keep it off and be healthier. Apples. For thousands of years, we've been using a wide variety of apples for medicinal complications and diseases, including diabetes and fevers, inflammatory conditions, and heart ailments. That old saying that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, it's an understatement because the apple is rich in phytochemicals, including quercetin, and that is very important for helping increase circulation. It also contains pectin and pectic acids, which are good for us. It contains tannins and alpha ferricins and shishamic acids and chlorogenic acid, all of which promotes health, and better neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which helps your brain, helps your cognition, and helps repair oxidative damage. It's also high in phenols and polyphenols, other antioxidants, and chemoprotective ingredients. Apples help guard against cancer, leukemia, lung cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, skin cancer. And it's great for your heart. Helps prevent heart attacks, stroke, and atherosclerosis. And if you want to get the most maximum benefit of apples, peel the skin of about 5 apples. Throw that skin in your blender. Now you can juice the rest of the apple. You can make apple butter out of it, apple sauce out of it, dry it, make apple rings, but blend up those apple skins. That's when you get the maximum benefit. Apricots are also important. They have not been important in America, but sure have been in Chinese and Indian cultures. And they're rich in vitamin C and beta-carotene. And they can also help inhibit the pathogenic bacteria frequently associated with ulcers like E. pylori helicobacter. Bananas, they're low in calories and high in nutrients, including potassium and manganese and B6 and vitamin C. And also, it helps produce healthy gut bacteria. Bacteria in our gastrointestinal system is critical for proper digestion and absorption of nutrients. And probiotics taken 3 times a day, 10 to 20 billion probiotics is terrific for that. Now, all the berries are superstars. I don't care what color, black, blue, red, we need them. They're rich in antioxidants. Blueberries specifically contain an antioxidant group of flavonoids, phenolic and polyphenol compounds, all of which have been shown to have ability of reversing cellular aging and also improve cognition and improve motor functions. So we want blueberries all the time. All the people I counsel who have any form of neurodegenerative disease like dementia and Alzheimer's, I'm making sure they're having blueberry juice every day. It's anti-inflammatory. It protects your skin, your joints, your cardiovascular system, and neurological system. Broccoli, big healing nutrient, rich in phytochemicals, especially chemicals like isothiocyanates and indole-3 carbinol and dindole methane. And these are powerful immune modulators. And because it fosters immune system strength, broccoli helps to fight against cancer, breast, prostate in particular. It helps kill bacteria and viruses in the body. And along with the polyphenols and the phytochemicals, broccoli contains other anti-cancer agents, such as the glucoramothin, and these are also important. So get your broccoli and broccoli sprouts. Eat carrots. They're rich in the antioxidants that block DNA damage, and alpha-carotene and lycopene, all rich nutrients you find in carrots. Garlic is a superstar. You really need garlic and onions as well, because it contains selenium and contains sulfur, and that helps trap free radicals. It protects against heart disease, arterial calcification, which is hardening of the arteries, and it reduces cholesterol and blood pressure. So you just can't get better than that to fight viruses and yeast in the body. Ginger is a superstar. It's been used for helping upset stomachs, reduce gastrointestinal gases, relieves nausea that arises from pregnancy and seasickness and chemotherapy. And ginger is wonderful if you use its essential oils also. It has a calming effect. It's a natural sedative, especially on your gastrointestinal tract if you're having trouble with an upset stomach. It kills pathogenic bacteria that upset the stomach. And new evidence suggests that ginger helps lower cholesterol and works as a mild immune booster, warding off colds and flu and sinus congestion and coughs. And then goji, G-O-J-I. It's also called wolfberry in its native Europe, and it's also found in Asia. And you find it used a lot in the Chinese medicine. It's a red little berry, and throw that into a blender as well. It's very rich in alpha-linolenic acid and in trace elements, and it's anti-inflammatory, cardioprotective for your heart, and also it's good for your eyes, helps prevent macular degeneration, cancers, liver problems. And green tea, another superstar. Green tea allows an extension of your lifespan. It is rich in what we call catechin, C-A-T-E-C-H-I-N. And I suggest anywhere from 200 to 400 to 600 milligrams a day. And the more polluted your body is, the more polluted your air or water is, the more DNA damage you're going to have. And the nutrients in green tea help guard against genetic damage from environmental toxins. And studies have noted its inflammatory properties and suggest it can play a role in battling cancer. It can also improve bone density and cognitive function, and it reduces the risk of developing kidney stones and strengthens heart function. And there's also evidence that green tea's polyphenols protect against the brain cell death that's associated with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Then you have your legumes, L-E-G-U-M-E-S. Now, I mentioned earlier legumes, and most people think of beans, peas, and lentils. However, alfalfa, clover, peanuts, and cashews are also legumes. And these vegetables and grains are excellent sources of your cholesterol-lowering fiber, important for gastrointestinal and colon health. So when you consume a legume, its fiber content helps you to manage your blood sugar level. So it's great for diabetics. And legumes also are really rich in iron. Black beans are rich in an antioxidant anthocyanidin, which promotes heart and vascular health. And green beans are excellent in vitamin C and K, and garbanzo beans, commonly called chickpeas, in which they make hummus from, are superb in molybdenum, which strengthens your teeth and preserves tooth enamel. And azuki beans, A-D-Z-U-K-I, it's terrific also. It's used in East Asian cooking, and it's rich in magnesium and potassium, and very good for soluble fiber. And leafy vegetables are important. The dark green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale and cabbage and arugula, Swiss chard, collard greens, and watercress, they're all high in carotenoids and other antioxidants. They guard against heart disease and cancer and problems in blood sugar regulation. And they also have individualized singular health benefits. Spinach is important because of its iron. Per gram, it generally contains over 30% more iron than a hamburger. And spinach is also an excellent source of folic acid and calcium and copper and zinc and selenium and omega-3 fatty acids. In fact, 1 cup of cooked kale provides 1,300% of your daily requirement of vitamin K needed for maintaining maximum bone health. It's also rich in manganese and other nutrients to help bone density. Also, as does broccoli, kale contains an anti-cancer phytochemical, sulforaphane. Sul, S-U-R, phoro, F-O-R-A, phane, P-H-A-N-E. Cabbage contains glutamine, an amino acid that contributes to anti-inflammatory activities in the body and protects against infections, and especially from the human papillomavirus. And the juice from cabbage will quicken the healing of peptic ulcers. And watercress is super. It's been shown to be a natural diuretic if you're holding excess water. It's a digestive aid, protects against lung cancer. Then you've got your mushrooms. Mushrooms are phenomenal. They're just one of the great immune boosters in all of nature. So having mushrooms sauteed, having them in a soup like a miso soup is terrific for you. They're effective against pathogens like influenza, candida, even hepatitis, Epstein-Barr virus, streptococcus, tuberculosis. They're one of the contributing factors. They can fight against leukemia, sarcoma, and bladder, breast, colon, liver, prostate, and stomach cancers, even in advanced stages. We need them as part of our armamentarium. And the ones I would suggest you use are chaga, C-H-A-G-A, cordyceps, C-O-R-D-Y-C-E-P-S, maitake, M-A-I-T-A-K-E, oyster, portobello, reishi, R-E-I-S-H-I, shiitake, S-H-I-I-T-A-K-E, and turkey tail mushrooms. So there are a lot more, but these are the ones you can find. You can get them dried inexpensively in Chinatowns throughout the United States, and then hydrate them in water. Onions are really good. An onion a day keeps a stroke away. So they're great. They have a lot of sulfur in them. They're good for diabetics. They're good for people who need to respond better to insulin. And onions are also rich in B6 and magnesium and molybdenum, potassium. Really good for you. Lowers your blood pressure, lowers your cholesterol, strengthens your bone health, and also gets rid of inflammation throughout the body, helping with asthma, arthritis, and respiratory congestion. I mentioned oranges earlier, and peppers. Hot peppers contain what is called capsicum. Cap, C-A-P, Psi, S-I, cum, C-U-M, capsicum. It's a Native American folk medicine healing nutrient. It's good to start with little amounts so you can tolerate it, and it's really good for turning off pain. It relieves aches and pains in the joints and muscles, and it's very important. It's used in a lot of topical creams also. It also has antibacterial and antiviral effects, and it's very good at protecting stomachs, ulcerations, and induces programmed cancer cell death. And so soy, if it's organic, is good. It's a complete protein, very high protein. Tomatoes are good, and then your whole family of whole grains. All the whole grains are good, especially if they're natural, unrefined whole grains. That means they have a lower glycemic index, meaning they're not going to be shooting up your blood sugar if you take quinoa, for example, which is a high-quality fiber, high-quality protein, rich in calcium, phosphorus, iron, and zinc. So those are those are some of the groups of foods that we should be having in our diet on a daily basis, and that is what would be replacing what you would normally be eating that's gotten your body overweight to begin with. Now we're going to take our first break. We're an hour into the program, and if you've just joined us, nice to have you on board. I'm Gary Null, broadcasting from our studios in New York City, and now we're going to take some calls, or at least answer some questions. And it's nice to see that Mary Jo Garrity, you're new to the webinar. Well, we welcome you. And Suzanne Davids, I'm in the art and advertising business. And we also have YC, I'm assistant professor in the humanities. We welcome you, YC. Brett is a general contractor out in Utah. And he said, I've attended a half dozen or so of Gary's webinars. And then we have Bordeaux, I think that's how you pronounce your name, and you are a dentist, and so I'm going to address some of your issues. And then we have Helen, an artist born in New York City, now in Washington State, longtime listener, attended retreats, but you've gained 50 pounds over the last 3 years while caring for former husband with Parkinson's, losing slowly now, but lack energy. You're 74 years of age, but look much younger because of Gary and his great info. Thanks, Gary. Okay, Helen, we're going to start with you. And I'm going to take answer as many of your questions now as I can before I get back to our webinar. Helen, there's several things you should consider when you're trying to help anyone, and this is true for anyone here. The people who die the fastest are those who are the most dedicated caregivers, which in effect means they have to give up, for all intents and purposes, their own lives to care for the people they love. Not that they shouldn't do that. All of us want to care for the people that have meant something to us, who've been a very essential part of our life that we love, but it's how we go about doing it. And to do it right, we have to have a support team. If everything is on us alone, then think of the people who are in their 40s or 50s, and one day they hear mom or dad or grandparents have Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, can't remember their names, don't remember to brush their teeth, comb their hair, don't know the value of money, can't walk outside because they wouldn't remember how to walk back in. Yeah, these are real situations. So what do? Well, first and foremost, we look at all the natural approaches that can help these people. Once every 3 to 4 years, I'm sorry I can't do it more frequently, but if you only knew my schedule, I'm making documentaries and writing textbooks to help people, reference books, and doing my radio shows and lectures. It takes a lot of my time. But once I do have a chance, and the last time was 3 years ago, I take a month and I invite people to a retreat for a month, because there I'm able to work with them on a daily basis. And a couple of things that make a difference. Building up gradually to where the person's consuming about 12 to 13 glasses of juice, fresh organic juice per day. Being able to get them, their body moving, and giving them some physical fitness workout, and which they otherwise wouldn't know to do or wouldn't be coordinated to do, or with Parkinson's, some conditions would have trouble doing. Then by getting those muscles moving, because any muscle that is not in constant use is going to go into, in effect, a disease state. You're not going to be able to move it. Remember the saying, use it or lose it? Well, that's extremely accurate. Then you want to get people in nature, because nature is one of the most important healing tools we have, and rarely do we use it. I think everyone listening right now knows the times in your life that you've been around nature, but maybe in that time when you were at nature, it was for a holiday, it was for vacation. And today, when people go to a holiday or vacation, it's generally to a noisy place with a lot of other people. They're trying to spend the first half of the first week just de-stressing, and if they are lucky to have a second week, they generally get more benefit out of the second week than the first week. And then the foods that they're getting there are generally foods that you would like, but are not healthy. Rarely does a person go to a place based upon how healthy the food is. They go based upon, what am I getting? Am I getting all I can drink, all I can eat? Am I getting any massages thrown in? But the noise, the artificial nature of the energy, it's not in the guy. It's not natural. It's just a retreat away from the hecticness and the ritualized lives that we live each day. But when you're around trees, we now have a whole science of understanding trees communicate with one another. A tree, if another tree is sick, the tree will extend out its network of roots to try to stimulate the other tree that's sick back to health. So trees communicate. So could you imagine with flowers and trees and shrubs all communicating, if you were able to be there and you needed the help, how they'd be trying to help you? All the aromas, the natural lilac, lavender, honeysuckle, jasmine, these are all part of the healing process. And nature provides us. We just don't use it. And then the meditations, being able to go in and stop the clutter of negative, fatalistic thinking and replace that with positive, can do, will do healing. And then being around people who are gifted in the energy that they share, an unconditional care. And then meals that are compatible with the body's needs, not just with our conditioned tastes. So that's where I see the greatest progress, because then I'm there with my energy all day, every day, with my team, helping them. So unfortunately, it's every 3 to 4 years, and sometimes it's been longer than that. But this October, I'm spending the whole month at a retreat with a limited number of people, helping guide them through their healing process. And if anyone wants information on that, you can speak to Luann. And I don't know, I haven't spoken with her to see who's called, who hasn't, but her number is 903-881-7008, 903-881-7008. Now, so if you can do what I just said in your own home, great, then that's where you should do it. But I also suggest that you bring in some people Bring in an acupuncturist, bring in a Qigong therapist that can give Qigong energy, vital force energy, specifically using it over your husband's brain. And I don't have the time, it's not a part of the seminar to get into healing energies, but the healing energies which people have mastered, and some cultures have a greater understanding of that, like the Chinese culture, the Indian culture with Ayurvedic medicine in India, the bush culture in Africa. Other cultures have mastered this, but we think they're primitive, and in point of fact, far more sophisticated because they're using energies that are all around us, and we're just not tapping into it. So get that in. Also get the juices in. And there's special nutrients for the brain that can make a big difference. Phosphatidylserine, acetyl L-carnitine, ginkgo biloba, L-carnosine, resveratrol, and glycerol phosphorylcholine, and NAD, and PPQ, and vitamin C, and high B complex. Those are the nutrients that are really important for people with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, multiple sclerosis, dementia. And then with the juices and the living foods and as much raw as possible, and exercise and physiotherapy, and then energy work with acupuncture, acupressure, and Qigong, then I believe that you'll start seeing a difference. Now, I would do the same thing for yourself. Because if you decide each day that while your husband is sleeping, you're going to be exercising, and you get yourself not just a treadmill, you get yourself a specific machine. It's the best that I know of. It's a cross-country ski machine. They're costing about $1,300 for a good used one. I just bought one about 3 months ago. It's terrific. And you strap this belt, this big thick belt around your chest, and then you program how far you want to go and what intensity you want to do it at, and how much time you want to spend, and then you start just like skiing. Like you have two skis, because you have two skis, one in each hand, and you're going through this motion of skiing, so you're hitting every muscle group in your body. So that's what I would do, and I'd build up to a half hour. Then I would go from there to a Versa Climber, VERSA. The Versa Climber hits every single muscle group in your body. It's both aerobic, and it's cardio, and it's musculature strengthening. And you probably you wouldn't be able to do more than 60 seconds. The goal is to get up to an hour, because I can suggest that once you hit an hour, you will have burned up most of that fat over a period of time, Helen. So that's what you want to do. You want to do the Versa Climber for yourself. You want to do the cross-country ski machine for yourself, and then follow the diet I've been suggesting and watch the difference. Also, every day, I would put, when you wake up in the morning, I would put 3 drops of jasmine on your left shoulder of clothing. That's very important to have that, because it keeps you calm throughout the day. I would also suggest, if you start to find yourself getting a little stressed, that you take a 200 milligram of theanine, THEANINE, which is a calming agent. Valerian root also is calming. Magnesium is calming. That way you're able to help your husband and help yourself. Okay? And now let's say hello to Aura. Aura says, what to take for fibroids, fatty liver, started taking milk thistle, but not sure how many milligrams to take, small thyroid, cysts, nodules, taking iodine. Are there other supplements I should take, and how much iodine do you recommend? You're asking me medical question, I can't answer that. But here's what I can answer, Aura, that what you're not asking is the more important question. We make the mistake of thinking that a specific nutrient will make the difference or be equal in its impact as changing our lifestyle. Lifestyle is always going to be more important. So if you went back to what I suggested earlier in the program, if you started to exercise every day, 6 days a week, 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the afternoon. If you began to juice, starting with 1 juice a day for the first week, then 2 juices a day for the second, and build up to 6 juices. And you can have a variety like watermelon and lemon and lime. That's a great juice. Cabbage with green apple. That's a great juice. And then a berry juice with pomegranate, and blueberry, and raspberry, and strawberries. That's a terrific juice. And celery and cucumber with lemon. That's also good juice. By cleansing and detoxifying from heavy metals, and you should check, because a lot of people with thyroid problems and cysts in particular have had caffeine in the diet, fibroids. It's almost always because of, I get the caffeine out, because caffeine stimulates fibroid growth. No caffeine, then no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, no soft drinks, no animal proteins, and exercising and a plant-based diet. That's what you need. The milk thistle is really for toxic liver, and you're talking about a fatty liver. More often than not, a fatty, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which 40% of the American adult population suffer from, is due to high fructose corn syrup or sugars in the diet and fats in the diet. So get those out of the diet. So the elimination is important. Detoxification. You got to detoxify, and it's going to take you anywhere from 6 months to a year. But if you're consistent, if you stay with it, you'll detoxify. And then by having a seaweed salad as one of the dishes each day, the iodine from multiple seaweeds will help in the rebalancing of the thyroid gland. That's what I would suggest. And let's just say, Monica, I made a lot of changes ever since I started listening to your show, such as I got a filtering system to get my clean water, good. Started juicing, good. Definitely do a lot of steamed veggies, excellent. All of my kids, my husband, you opened my eyes and I thank you. And by the way, thanks to you, my husband overcame his severe seasonal allergies. But I can't seem to help myself. I'm still overweight and cannot seem to get over self-pity. Well, we're not into pity parties. And yes, life is tough, but most people deal with it. I reach for food. What can I do? You need to be around some supportive people for at least a week or two who that every day, all day, ask you to explain why today you should feel disempowered, angry, rageful, helpless, out of control. And listen to yourself as you're justifying these positions. And as you do that, then you become aware that there's nothing from your past that you can change. There's nothing in any of our past that we can correct. If we've made a mistake, it's made. It's made forever. It's in our DNA. That does not mean, however, that we should recycle it. We do have a choice. We have a freedom to say, no, I've been down that path. My life is more significant than the emotional choices I've made. And then start to say what you want in today. Well, what you want in today is to empower yourself to think positively about this day. And stop going back to yesterday. Stop going back to those days where you felt neglected or unwanted or unappreciated or in any way lessened as a human being. It might have gone clear back to your childhood. That's generally where a lot of this comes from. Because you can't change that. I said it the other day. In fact, I said it yesterday on my radio program. I said, just imagine you feel in a moment justified at yelling or screaming at someone. You're not going to say anything kind. You're going to say something that's meant to hurt another person, to make them feel bad about themselves. Nobody says, I'm so angry at you, I'm going to go eat a sprout salad. No, when they're angry at you, they let go and say a lot of uncomplimentary and hostile and insensitive and thoughtless comments. And then later they say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. No, they did mean it. Remember, everything we do, we mean. I didn't mean to rob the bank. I'm sorry, Judge. Yeah, you did. And that outburst would not have been the first time in your life that you made a bad choice. It is the total accumulation of these bad choices that one day causes us to have a tipping, where we suddenly wake up and we have like an epiphany moment where we're looking at something and saying, wow, why in the world would I keep saying these stupid things, doing these stupid things? Well, because maybe in those moments you're just stupid. Remember this idea that smart people make, stupid choices and good people make bad choices. Not true. Bad people make bad choices. Good people make good choices. Stupid people make stupid choices. But we can change if we don't honor the day. So I don't say, hey, you're healthy. No, I say today you're making choices that provide you with health today. Today, if you're being kind. I was walking down the street to do this webinar, and I went to get myself a juice. And I saw a man, I'm guessing he's mid-20s to 30s, and he looked Indian. And when he spoke, he could have been Pakistani, could have been from Bangladesh. But in any case, he came from that part of the world. And I said, are you looking for food? And he said, very articulately, he said, yes, I'm trying to find something to eat. And I said, you realize that food could be extremely toxic because the bacteria or viruses, I know that, but I have no other way of eating today. I said, sure you do. And here's one of those moments, I had gotten my doormen, who both have had heart attacks. I've got them on a healthy diet, but they're not strict about it. One is not strict. So I'd gone up to a store and got them a really healthy lunch. So I gave them both lunches. And I said, well, right now you've got a healthy lunch and you've got a healthy dinner. And then I gave them an address and I said, when next time you want some food, you go to this address and you say Gary sent you and you'll get some healthy food for free. And he just looked at me and said, why? I said, because you're a sacred person, aren't you? And he stopped for a moment. He couldn't answer it. Aren't you? Of course you are. I said, no one has a right to judge you because at this particular moment in your life, you're going through a rough time. And I'm sure that if you had a gift, you would give that gift. And you have given gifts throughout your life. People. Yeah, he said, okay. So in this moment, I have a gift that I'm choosing to give to you because I see you need it. And so every day that we have a gift that we can give and we give that gift, then that's a day we honor our spiritual self. I said, I'm not just helping you today, I'm helping remind myself of how valuable life is at the spiritual and human level. I never want to get to where I can walk by someone who is struggling and think, that's their issue, not mine. I can't feed the world, there are too many people. Let the government do it, let a church do it. I never want to desensitize myself to what people actually need. And yet each day we do that. And then one day we no longer even think about it because we have put calluses over our spiritual sense of empathy. So, simple things. So when you stop looking at the past and savoring the scars of your remorse, when you find joy in the simplest of things and the austerity of a moment of complete tranquility, then you don't have to have money in the bank, you don't have to have legions of friends, you just have to be present for the moment you're in. Mindful living. So when you're mindful of the moment you're in, then you're not being a victim. It's when you look backwards and say, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Of what? So when that mirror drops because of something that you have said or the other person has said to you, and they get down and you get down and you cry, or you pray, or you beg, or you plead for forgiveness, the mirror never comes back together. The pieces are shattered and will be forever. But we would like to think that somehow in the ethereal nature of pseudo-spirituality, that all we have to say is we're sorry, and that heals all wounds. That's the ultimate metaphysical balm that we put on our sores. But it doesn't work. What does work is not doing it. And being grown up and disciplined and mature enough to let the dominant energy of our lives, our spiritual self, dictate how I'm going to deal with these issues today. and then we don't feel like martyrs, and we don't allow ourselves to be put into abusive situations, including our own hand. So you see, it's a simple answer, but if you haven't used those tools yet, you should. And you don't need psychoanalysis, and you don't need drugs, and you don't need a cheerleader. You just need to be reminded for a week that any excuse you give for not being happy, there's 100 excuses for being happy. Last night I saw a documentary. I highly recommend it. It's called City of Ghosts. It's a small art film. It's a documentary. It's a true story. It just opened last night at the Lincoln Center, Lincoln Plaza in New York at 63rd and Broadway. It's about 5 men, all Muslims from Syria, who are trying to document the atrocities of the ISIS group in Syria and Raqqa, one of the towns, forgotten towns in Syria, and how they got the photographs and the videos by surreptitious means out of the country into other communities that could then know how bad it was. But some of them got caught and were killed. Some of their families were killed. And you see how much they suffer. You see what it's like to have nothing. You see young children lined up around the block just to get any kind of food or water. And these are the people there. Well, these guys finally had to flee because their identities became known, and ISIS started putting up their photographs, and you would get a reward if they were captured, and then they were going to be beheaded. So some went to Turkey, and one of them got shot, killed, broad daylight. The others went to Germany, but they had to hide. But that didn't stop 17 others from staying in the town and suffering, but filming secretly and recording all the atrocities they could of ISIS. And today, many of the things that you have seen on television came from these people. And so when we think about how tough it is today, as tough as living in Raqqa or any of the other towns that are under siege by ISIS, no. As tough as it is living in the Sudan, the South Sudan, where there's massive genocide, Boko Haram and other people killing people, raping women, no. So everything is relative. So that's why we have to be reminded of how many gifts we have, and instead of appreciating the gifts that we have, instead we curse the darkness of what we don't have. And the only thing preventing us from having what we don't have is simply altering our perception. Because your reality is your perception. Change your perception, you change your reality. I was once told when I'd done my first investigative report back in 1970 that I was going to take a lot of flack by the pharmaceutical industry, by the Cancer Society, because I was exposing them. And I remember simply saying to the person, "You're right. I will imagine in my life I'm going to make a lot of enemies. But how they will compare to my friends. My enemies will know me for what threat I represent to them, and my friends will know me for how I've helped them in their healing practice in their lives. I will always come down on that side. So I don't do anything from fear. It's only when we have fear of loss of something that it limits us. Fear constricts, love expands. So when you do something with love in your heart each day, you're on the right side of all harmonizing energy. When you do something from insecurity, you're doing something on the wrong side. So hope that helps you there, Monica, and also that also would help Ray, who's a student of yoga. My wife is 54 and has been vegan, and but does have some personal stress about career and living life goals. Well, none of us can control the outcome. We can only control how we're going to perceive that journey today. So take advantage of this day. It'll never happen again. And there's no reason to be stressed in today. Our stress comes when we're trying to mark our achievements, our legacy, with expectations that others had of us or we had of ourselves, neither of which is real. So your goal should be to make it through another day as happy and healthy and creative and giving as you can be. That's the goal that matters. Remember the old adage, both the king and the peasant go in the same dirt, and nothing goes in with them. And then we have Cheryl. I've been a listener and was again a part of your support group. I live on Long Island. I'm an occupational therapist, massage therapist, sugar addict, overweight by approximately 40 pounds, and unable to take off since my older son's passing 8 years ago. And you have another son diagnosed with mental disorder. Well, first of all, break it into pieces. We can't hold on to what's no longer there. We can grieve, which is a normal and healthy process of loss. But at a certain point, we cannot become our grief, because then that becomes the dominant energy in our life. We have to replace that grieving energy with a creating energy. So as life is lost, life can be created. So when you bring life to a young person as a big sister, or if you're a man as a big brother, then your energy now, your love, your care, your guidance goes into another sacred human being who didn't have that advantage. Now think of how they've been grieving for the parents they need and don't have. Your son had the benefit of your love, Cheryl. And for those years that you were with your son, the best that you could be as a human being was given to him. He was blessed to have that. Now imagine taking those blessings and that positive energy and all that you know and putting it into a big brother, big sister. Imagine being there as part of an outreach program for those who are homeless, who just need someone to talk with. There's plenty of places on Long Island that you could do that. And you're not an addict, because this is not genetic. It's not an opiate addiction. No, this is simply the choice that is least effective for dealing with your emotional pain. You can make another choice. And when you make another choice, then you won't have that sugar addiction, but you have to replace it with something. Why not replace it with showing the dangers of addictive behavior, which is different than a biological addiction, and work up a little teaching video that you can share with students. Take it around to some groups, put it up on the web. How I overcame my addictive behavior by living an authentic life. Addictive behavior comes into place when we no longer feel that we're living authentically, even if we were. So we have to have something that's more important to us in a creative way than our loss was in a negative way. Remember the glass? You can't bring it back. Nothing from your past can you change. You can simply value the great things in your past, the remarkable moments, appreciate them and the people, but realize everything in life has an expiration date. Everything, everyone. So take nothing for granted. Now, during these last 8 years, you've taken your life for granted. You've been functional, but not living an authentic life. You've been that kind of like zombified. So now you have to get back to living an authentic life. And if your son were alive today, I'm sure that he would be encouraging you as much as I am to find something that you have passion for and put your energy into it. Let's also, oh, by the way, any of you who are on today, our webmaster, Tanya, has put up some 3 different products, and you're getting a special 30% discount at garysvitamincloset.com. It'll be available for 24 hours, including something that is my favorite invention. I have over 300 inventions, but the one that I did that I'm most happy with, not green stuff, not red stuff, those are good, but the one is the anti-aging elixir. That is the most powerful. It's organic, it's kosher, it's vegan, it's non-GMO, but it's got all the powerful antioxidants, phytonutrients. It's got more phytonutrients, more ORAC factor, more capacity to help the body than anything I've ever created. Now, when you get it, you got to shake it, keep it refrigerated. If you don't, because I did not pasteurize, homogenize it, it'll all kind of separate. That's fine. It's just slightly sweet, but not. There's no sugars added. It's just natural lychee, and all the superstars are in there, and so that makes a big difference. If there's one thing I could recommend to everyone, it's taking that twice a day, the anti-aging elixir. It's not that expensive either, but boy, is it good for you. But you're going to get a special discount. I just wanted to share that with you. The event organizer, Glenn, just wanted me to remind myself, so I did. Now let's go down and say, Tracy, how long does it take for sugar cravings to subside after elimination from the diet? It depends upon which environment you're in. If you were down to a retreat for a week, it takes about 4 days. If you do it on your own, because your body's not being flooded with the right types of chlorophyll, like chlorella and spirulina, and nutrients that are known to rebalance the body's sugar cravings, then it might take you 3 to 4 weeks. So whichever way you go, stick with it. Okay, and one thing you can do the moment you have a sugar craving, take some lemon water. Lemon water is one way to kill sugar cravings. And Jacqueline, say I had internet problems and had to relocate. Will this lecture be available after a session? You bet. Glenn is going to make this available to everyone who's here for free, who's online now. And so the webinar will be emailed to all attendees at the end of next week. And YC, there was a time when I felt my metabolism was high. I power walked every day. I ate healthy foods. I might sound silly, but I could actually feel the overturn in my stomach. But then after the loss of my sister in 2007, I shifted my attention to my parents and probably neglected myself due to grief, drank a lot of wine. Fast forward to today, I no longer drink, but I feel my metabolism is completely stalled. I get hungry, but I don't feel the oven turned on, almost as if the food just sits there. Is this a thyroid issue? I'm stumped. Probably not a thyroid issue, but it is part of your metabolism. And there's more than your thyroid. There's also the pituitary gland, there's submaxillary glands. You've got a lot of glands, adrenal glands that can also be a part of this. But it's about getting out and disciplining yourself to start to move your body. And the most difficult part is the beginning. If you feel very uncomfortable, if you have weak knees, or if you have sores and pains or inflammation, then go into a swimming pool and do what we call deep water walking. And that way you're buoyant, so there's no pressure upon the joint, but you're getting the muscles, metabolism moving, and that's good. Also, I recommend doing a stationary bike at high intensity, but the VersaClimber would be really perfect for you also. I also suggest that you do a modified fast where you're getting your protein from your smoothie and you're getting your juices all day, every day for a week. And that frequently can kickstart, especially if you're getting the enzymes in there. Enzymes, remember, the spark plugs are the catalysts, and you really need the enzymes. So the more sprouts, pea sprouts, sunflower sprouts, daikon sprouts, onion sprouts, alfalfa sprouts that you have, the more enzymes you're getting. You're getting that superoxide dismutase, which your body really benefits from. So that would be terrific for you. So then you can get up, get out, exercise, and also try having cabbage juice each day. That's really good. And aloe vera juice, 3 ounces of aloe vera 3 times a day is terrific for people. Specialize on having a fennel salad. Get fresh fennel from the farmer's market, cut it up, and dice that into a regular salad. Have apple cider vinegar in the morning. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 table of ginger juice. Dilute that into 16 ounces of green apple juice and drink that. That will make an enormous difference also on digestion. And then have some cinnamon, quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon put in there each day. So that will help you as well. And it'd be good if you came down to the retreat, YC, because there we're working with people who are overweight. And every day you have no choice. You get out on a country road and you walk. And every day we measure how far you walk. And the goal is to walk 6 miles by the end of the first week. And then we take you into the gym and you work out specifically on your body, then into water aerobics in a saltwater pool. And then juicing 13 to 15 times a day. And then meditation and counseling and energy work, it all comes together. And Lewis, first time webinar, how should I use DMSO? You shouldn't use DMSO unless you have specific protocol from your physician. It's not something you want to use on your own. Monica, you know, I'm learning more and more that we all have issues and need to speak about them only because we need to get them out. But I feel we need Gary to get that nudge from Gary from time to time to get us in the right place. It seems we all need Gary's protocols to keep us healthy and someone to talk through the issues we care about, which stop us from getting our health back. I know I need someone to talk to. Gary helped me to get me my health back, but I also need someone to talk to. We all need people to talk with. Monica, that's part of life. It's part of how we're able to process information that may not be seen objectively with a conditioned mind. You see, our mind is either conscious, mindful in the moment, which is the authentic mind, which we use about 3 to 5% a day. That's it. 95 to 97% of everything we think and do every day is coming from our subconscious, and that we cannot control. It's subconscious. Therefore, it's conditioned. It's like tapes that are going off based upon the stimuli that we're faced with. And if you have a good support system, they will know what is objective and what is not. So when you go out of bounds, when you're about to hit that third rail and go into crisis, they can say, hold on a second. You know, there's another way of looking at this problem. And they can share that with you. And then you can harmonize back to say, you know, that just is reasonable. It makes sense. And that's what you need. Yeah, you need some harmonizing. Are you going to find it on the web? No. There's an awful lot of dysfunctional people on this web who don't have lives, so they live through trolling and acting like your friends. They're not. You know, in fact, I've stopped my Facebook streaming because I didn't find anyone was changing. What's the purpose of going through all the time and effort and expense to help share information if people are not grateful for it or not going to use it? It's like someone comes to you saying, I'm so thirsty. I've just been in the desert. I've been here for a month. I haven't had a drink of water. And you hand them a glass, say, friend, I'm happy to help you. So as you go to pour the glass, they turn the glass, water in the glass, they turn the glass upside down and say, pour it all in, pour it all in. So you pour a pitcher on top of a glass that's upside down so it all falls off. And you say, you're not using the water I'm giving you, but giving more. I need more. I need more. But you're not using what I'm giving you. We have so much focus on facts and information and so little on self-actualization. We think that if all we have is another answer to one of our questions, that's going to make everything well, and it doesn't. 95% of my audience do not actualize the information. I gave you an example of someone who had no choice. If they hadn't, they would have died. And they were an engineer, Ed Finkelstein, and he knew that he had to do it, and he did. And he lived and he died much longer. I think he died in his late 80s, and it wasn't from his cancer or a blocked artery. But he had quality of life because he committed himself to it. It's when we get over a problem temporarily. I'll give you an example. There's someone who I've known for a long time. And he's a very influential person within the hospital system. He has about 2,000 employees under him. And yet, he has at least 17 medications. Last time I helped him, he was on. I got him off all the medications, except the thyroid medication, and got him out of crisis. But then he didn't go on to change his life. He reverted back. And then about 3 weeks ago, I got a call from Luann who said, Gary, I just got a call from your friend. And he said he's in the emergency room. He's at end-stage congestive heart failure. They're expecting to live through the night. Will you call him? So I called him. And I said, what do you have to live for? What do you mean? Well, what's the purpose if you live another day? What's the purpose? He couldn't answer me. I said, well, if you can't answer me, I can't help you. So he called me back about 3 in the morning. He said, I figured out what I should live for. I'm going to live for my kids. I said, wrong answer. Just live for yourself. If you can't live for yourself, you're not helping your kids. If you try to live through your kids, you're not helping your kids. If you spoil your kids, if you make your kids an alternate ego to yourself, like a lot of parents, most parents do today, the kid will never know what it is to be a kid. They'll always be under pressure that they're not good enough. They have to perform. They have to meet everyone's expectations. I said, so take an honest look at your life and ask yourself, if you die tonight, what will the world miss? There was this long pause, and he said, nothing. I've lived a lie, Gary. I've lived a lie. I said, okay. So when you can tell me what's worth living for, I'll help you. So he called back a little later, and he told me, and what he told me made sense. So I gave him a protocol, and it got him through the night. And the next day, and then within 2 weeks, he was out of congestive heart failure. Got his blood pressure down, his blood sugar down, and then instead of taking the time to go and have a real retreat and cleanse, rebalance, he went right back to work. So the next time he calls, I won't be there for him. There comes a time when you realize the games people play. And in life, we only have so much energy and time in every day. So ask yourself, how many times in your life did you put energy into people who don't use it, don't care, don't appreciate it, even blame you for some expectation they have, but you're only there to see that whatever their needs are taken care of? But what about the people who do care? What about the people, if you help them, they would help others, they would pass it on. They'd be an example of what's possible. That's what's important. At our last retreat, we had a couple come. They were not a happy camper. They were both board-certified physicians, him in pain, her in cancer. She was at a big cancer hospital in New York. And they brought their 2 kids. Now, why they came, I don't know. Luann didn't want them to come because the woman was very negative and demanding. And I said, well, if nothing else, give them the experience. So after they saw the energy work, after they saw people who come who should have been dead and, in effect, having a whole new lease on life, on the last day, the woman actually gave a testimonial. You can hear the testimonial on progressiveradionetwork.com. And she said, I don't know what I saw this week, but what I saw, I've never seen or experienced my entire medical career, nor has my husband. How you go about helping people, the questions you ask, the depth you go into someone, we're not used to in our society. Everything is sugar-coated and lies. We're afraid to talk with people about how they're incapable, absolutely incapable of deep change. I said, but people are capable of deep change. But if all the lessons you're learning are to dumb people down and make them weak and make them feel like snowflakes, then you're not going to have anything change. You're not going to have anyone change. And if the only time someone's willing to change is when their life's in or in a crisis, a heart attack, cancer, stage 4, but they never came to you at stage 3, stage 2, stage 1. They never came to you when they got their first diagnosis and had the options. They only come when everything else has been tried and fails. What's the likelihood then, if everything has failed, that they're going to benefit and then change their life? Can it happen? Yes, it can. But if we're a society that's only willing to change when we're in a crisis, then we are a failed society. So then who are you going to put your time into? The person that will use it or the person that won't? And intuition and association gives us that answer real quick. So, Monica, it only does anyone any good to listen to me if they're willing to use the information, challenge it, that's fine, but to go forward and do something meaningful with it. If they can't do that, then my information is of no value to them. It doesn't mean it's no value to them. You see, I don't attach to a person's outcome, because if I did, I'd been really disappointed many, many times over. What I do, however, is I'm there as a facilitator of change for people who have the courage to say, now's the time, not tomorrow, not next year, not when I get out of my crisis. The very reason that we give ourselves excuses is, it's not the right time. We resist the opportunity, which means our subconscious conditioned mind is making all of our decisions for us. So if we're processing information, we're going to process it with the subconscious mind, which means it's already going to give us the excuses, the rationalizations, justifications for not changing. However, if we make our mind up through our conscious mind and allow the spiritual part of our being to make our decisions, we will always be present for the opportunities that we need. We will harmonize with the people we need to harmonize with, and we will not compromise on that harmony. If it is not the right harmony, we will disconnect from it. If it is, we will harmonize as long as it's harmonizing. So you have to be in the right place at the right time with the right idea and the right support system. And most importantly, you must be the right person to see yourself step forward out of your pain, out of your suffering, out of your remorse, into that enlightened, special place of being. And it has nothing to do with wealth, position, power, education, social class, or ethnicity. It has to do with acknowledging the uniqueness of your being. So if anyone wants to succeed at life, simply show up for it. Or take a very comfortable and expensive seat and watch everything else be done for you by others, and then live with that regret, that remorse. Remember on the waterfront, that one scene where Marlon Brando is in the car with his brother, Rod Steiger, the mob accountant, and he said, I could have been a contender, I could have been a somebody. Yeah, make the right choices, and everything's possible. Make the wrong choices, all we have are excuses. So, hope that helps you, Monica, and others. Jonathan, how do you burn visceral fat? I mentioned that earlier, Jonathan, maybe you didn't hear me. I said you can only burn visceral fat when you get out and you exercise. 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the afternoon, but you got to do it vigorously, not slow. Slow exercise is junk exercise. Okay? Tracy, thank you for your kind thoughts. Cheryl, thank you for your kind thoughts. And you say your son has the same birthday as me, January 6th. Good. I'm sure we're a few years different, though. And now that I've answered a lot of questions from Ray and Aura and Mary and Cheryl and Tracy and Jacqueline and YC and Louise and Monica and Jonathan, I want to get back to the next part of our information. And this is about weight control from a different perspective. No doubt about it, if we continue on the current path of increasing obesity among children and youth, the future is grim. Extrapolating from childhood obesity rates, we're going to have 44% of all American women, 30% of all American men obese, and over 90% of all people obese in the United States in the next 3 years. Wow. So we're dealing with a lot of need for change. Otherwise, we're going to have catastrophic outcomes of disease. We got to get away from the empty calories, the junk food, the sedentary lifestyle. Those are the major culprits. But do not consider genetic predisposition. That's a myth. That's just a commercial structure of advertising telling us we need instant gratification. That's a philosophy that encourages unhealthy eating. I want to look at hormones for a moment. In understanding the etiology of weight gain, it's important to look at how hormones regulate food intake. And when a person's stomach is relatively empty, the hormone, what is called ghrelin, Ghrelin, is released, telling the brain it is hungry and needs to eat. And once food has been consumed, leptin, Leptin, a hormone made by fat, goes to the brain and tells the body to stop eating. And from the brain's end, this is controlled by a number of integrated entities, including the hypothalamus, more important than the thyroid. And it's been theorized that some people with a disposition towards obesity do not have enough leptin, or that they do not have the receptors to bind to the leptin, so their brains are not getting the proper message telling them that they are full. Now, surprisingly, as demonstrated in a study, higher leptin levels were found to be associated with obesity. On the surface, it might appear that leptin should be scarce, not abundant in cases of extreme weight gain. However, the research showed that excessive leptin can result in leptin resistance, which essentially means that the body stops reading weight-suppressing messages from the hormone, even though it is present at high levels. And another study exploring the role of leptin found that while the hormone had some effect on weight control in lean animals, no weight loss benefits existed when the subjects were overweight. And then we have eating patterns. When to eat. I believe that we should stop eating regular meals. I believe we should graze. The ideal way of eating, start your day with a smoothie. In the smoothie, you can put your 1 pint of 2 different types of berries. Let's say pomegranates and blueberries. That would be terrific. Then put a scoop, which would be a tablespoon of a nut butter. Any single nut butter. Walnut is good, raw, organic. Pistachio is good. Put your almond, put that in. Then put 1 teaspoon of a seed butter, sunflower seed, pumpkin seed, tahini. Put that in. Now put a teaspoon of coconut oil in, organic cold-pressed coconut oil. And then put a scoop of a plant-based protein powder in. And then put in the other things that you have, like I put in my anti-aging elixir, I put Power Berry Blast, I put muscle stuff, I put green stuff, red stuff, and I load it up. Then I put a liquid in, generally a rice milk or apple juice, and I blend that up. Now I put enough in there that I've got enough for my breakfast after I come back from my workout, and I have enough for a glass of that for my lunch before I do my radio show. I get up at 4, so that's a good span. Now in the afternoon, you graze. Grazing like having an avocado that you've scooped out, and now put some hummus in the middle of the avocado, squirt some lemon juice on there, sprinkle a little cayenne, a little Himalayan sea salt, some black pepper, and that's a wonderful lunch. Or you might do something else. You might make yourself a wonderful sprout salad and put some Jerusalem artichoke in and hearts of palm. And you can sprinkle some lightly toasted sunflower seeds with maybe a tahini dressing on it, or pine nuts, which are also good. And then take a fresh pomegranate and put pomegranate seeds in it, like a cup. It's a wonderful pomegranate salad. Put endive in there. It's terrific. That's grazing. Now near dinner time, you can have like some sauteed shiitake mushroom with garlic and onion, and put that over some quinoa and drizzle some extra virgin olive oil on it, or flaxseed oil on it. Or you can dice up some raw onion and put on there too, just to change the mouthfeel and taste. That's grazing. If you go out with people, have yourself a nice soup, because that's all your body needs. Having more than that is taking more than what you need. Now, sometimes in the evening, if I'm out with friends and we go to a movie, and I'll treat them all to a dessert. And that dessert is generally taking 6 different types of berries, frozen, throw them into a blender, and then put some lemon juice in there, lime juice in there, and some coconut water, and then blending that up. It's delicious tasting, but it really floods the body with nutrients, but it doesn't raise the blood sugar. And you don't want anything within 3 hours of going to sleep, because you don't want your metabolism saying, I'm awake, when you're really trying to sleep. So that's how I would do that. So it's your most important meal is your breakfast. The most amount of nutrients your body needs is in the morning, when you're coming into an anabolic state from about 4 a.m. to about 10 a.m. And if you get it into a pre-digested form, it means it's going to go right into your body with maximum absorption. So therefore, the fat-soluble nutrients are having the fat they need. So if you take curcumin, which turns off pain and is a great anti-cancer agent, at the same time that you have some oil, like coconut oil, it's more highly absorbed. But it's easy to digest. You're not sitting there with food sitting on the stomach. And by grazing with small amounts of food throughout the day, you're not overeating. Therefore, it's easier to digest it and get it into the system with maximum absorption and better elimination. So that's how I would go about doing that. Making your good food selection, which I've already told you, is crucial. High fiber, high complex carbohydrates, and you're going to get all that your body needs, including helping maintain your blood sugar in a normal way. And eliminate alcohol from the diet. You're drinking wine, you're going to gain weight. You're drinking beer, you're going to gain weight. Replace sugar treats in between with snacks. I find that the best snacks are grapes. Just always have some different blue grapes, green grapes, purple grapes. And so when you're hungry, just have a handful of grapes. That's terrific for you. Also eat smaller portions. And don't bring stress to the table. When I eat, I like to eat with just soft music and no conversation. I eat in silence. Now, when I'm out with friends, I generally eat before I go out so I can enjoy their company and laugh and talk, but they don't have the same standard as I do. They have a different standard, which is fine for them. So I'm going to enjoy their company at a meal, and so there are even occasions I'll order something, but I'm not really eating. They're just not paying attention. I'm just kind of scooting around on my plate because I already have eaten, because I eat in silence. Eliminate coffee and caffeinated drinks. Replace milk products with non-milk. So don't be tempted to skip breakfast or any meal to lose weight. And while skipping a meal will reduce your caloric intake for that moment in time, it'll leave you much hungrier later on. So therefore, you're going to eat more when you do eat. And hence, you're going to overeat to compensate. So just have some steady food going in the body every several hours, but small amounts. And then, of course, your lifestyle changes, and then that brings you to where you need to be, and then you got to do your exercising every day. So that is the information I have to share with you, and now we're going to go to our, we're 2 hours into our program, and we're going to go to a film. Now the film is an hour and a half long, and you're only going to see about a half hour of it, and then after that, hopefully you'll be able to put this information into play, meaning utilize it. And for those of you who are overweight, a healthy weight loss would be about 2 to 3 pounds per week. And that way your body's adjusting, your metabolism is adjusting, and you don't want to lose weight too fast. And you don't want to get in a stuck position by losing it too slow either. So I'm going to be saying goodbye to you now while you watch this film, and hopefully I'll see a couple of you in October for a week or up to a month. And the more time you spend, the more we can do to help you. Otherwise, I hope some of you take advantage of some of the specials that we have. We only have 3 specials up there for you, but they're good. So have a nice day, everyone. Now to our film in a moment. Right now, there are 131 million overweight Americans. A high percentage of those are senior citizens and children. We also have gone from simply being overweight to obese and even morbidly obese, so overweight that it really challenges our health. Why? Why are we at a point in our lives where we're spending almost $2 trillion on diseases? Almost anyone you speak with has something wrong with them. It's bad enough being overweight. It's worse when you consider what comes along with that overweight, a higher incidence of heart disease, including stroke, cancer, various types of pain like fibromyalgia and arthritis, and also something that so many people are suffering from today, and that is diabetes. And of course, almost exceeding all those conditions, depression. Now here's a question. Did we get overweight and then get depressed? Or were we depressed and then gained weight? Did we have heart disease, not know it, or high blood pressure, we're unaware of it, and then only by being overweight did it stress our body chemistry so much that one day we manifested a stroke or heart attack? What's the best answer? One of the popular diets? On the New York Times bestseller list just last week, 3 of the top 4 books were diet books. Is this what we should be doing? Why don't we have a national health plan sponsored by the Surgeon General or the Director of the Health and Human Services who come forward and say, here's what Americans should be doing? I'm Gary Knoll. I'd like to welcome you to a special program, a program that will explore in depth the whole phenomena of why we are overweight, including our children, how many of us are dying prematurely, the diseases that come from that, and isn't there a better way than simply one of the high-protein, low-carb diets? Join me now as we explore America's health and deal with the crisis in obesity. Go into almost anyone's home today and ask them what's your favorite food. Generally it's sweet and soft or salty and crunchy, deep fried.
We are bred to be overweight. We're brought up to be overweight. Children are rewarded with desserts, punished with desserts being taken away. When you go into the schools, there are now vending machines in the schools. Teenagers today are 30% heavier than they were 20 years ago. We have not taught our children at an early age to favor healthy, good foods.
One of the biggest problems in this country are the cereals. And I'm not saying all cereals are bad, but if you walk down a supermarket's aisle and you go down that cereal aisle, I have to tell you, man, there's a lot of sugar and carbohydrate in there. And that's a problem because our children today are over-consuming sugar and sugar products.
Just look on a Saturday morning, as I recently did, at the average television commercial. Of almost all the cereals, they were all sugar-laden, refined carbohydrate, and then putting dairy on top of it, common allergens. What do you expect the outcome to be if all you're giving a child is something that is going to challenge the metabolic condition of the child? The child's going to not only be overweight, but every time they see that product in a supermarket, they're going to tell their mothers, I want that product.
The problem with the mass media is that it is basically fueled by industries and companies that are pushing various addictive substances, both on adults and children. Children do not have the faculties to be able to really look at and critically see that these substances are bad for them.
What moral responsibility do the television networks have and the people who invest in stocks of media companies that advertise for children's products to in some way say no to any product that may contribute to adverse health reactions?
I know the healthy things to eat, but I always seem to throw in those things that are not good for me, and I know that's where the weight is coming from.
I know what foods are healthy, but I guess I haven't wanted to have the discipline or the self-control to eat the right foods.
My relationship between health and weight, I think, stinks, so that needs to be made a lot better.
I just want to become healthy, and I don't think I'm healthy now.
I'd like to think that people care about their health and well-being. I don't know many people that wake up in the morning and say, gee, I want to be in more pain. I want to look down and have more fat on my abdomen. I want more cellulite. I want a turkey skin that just wobbles like that. I want to have absolutely no energy. I don't even want to be able to get out of bed. I want to be in such arthritic flare-up. And if you're a man, I never want to have sex again. I just want to be permanently impotent. Well, because I want to tell you something. If you don't pay attention to what you're doing, that's actually going to happen. How many of you can't go to sleep at night? How many of you have had trouble sleeping? How many of you, when you're overweight, you think of all the things now you can't do, right? Because when you're overweight, you adapt to your overweight. Now, what if we weren't allowed by some law of the universe not to adapt? We had to transform our crisis. Well, that'd get our attention, wouldn't it? Because then you couldn't get bigger clothes. Now, could you imagine being a size 18 and trying to put in yourself into a size 6 dress? But we just keep adapting. We adapt and we adapt and we adapt. Why? Because it's easy. And also because who's going to really hassle you? You're in a restaurant, you're eating an average French fry. What they got, 25, 30 French fries in there? Soaked in fat and sodium, right? Do you see anybody walk over and say, sorry, you can't have that French fry? Well, what do you mean? I just paid for it. I want it. No, you can't. It's not good for your health. So, and also that hamburger, you can only have one little piece because the actual amount of protein that you would require if you were getting it from animal proteins, only about one big tablespoon. You think a tablespoon, that's it? Yeah, tablespoon of meat, and we can also get rid of the bun. Just refined carbohydrate. What's in a bun? You don't need it. The bun's going to become your butt. All right? Now take a look at the bun and just visualize that's your butt. Bun butt. That's what we've got in America, bun butts. So your French fries are gone, and of course all the grease is going to go in your body. The buns are gone, and the pickle, woo, we really need that sodium in our body, don't we, right? Like we already have enough high blood pressure. Give me another 5,000 milligrams of sodium. My heart can take it. I'm tough. Oh. We're a nation that doesn't think a whole lot about this, but wouldn't it be funny if someone actually did that to you, and then you're left there with one little piece of meat? And then someone says, hold on a second. Now, before you eat that piece of meat, understand something. Yes, there's hormones in it, growth-stimulating hormones. Cow didn't want it. And antibiotics and pesticides and rendered animals. Cows are supposed to eat grass. What are they doing eating all kinds of other dead animals? And you're thinking, oh, that's going into me? Yes, you are what you eat. That's the only thing you can be. And then we wonder why we don't feel good. Isn't it interesting that then after we eat a meal like that, we just kind of go into a semi-comatose state? All across America. That's the only reason that people buy the big couches. Because there's a... That is. Eat a meal and then collapse. I remember in my home, coming from just a middle-class background, my mom being able to prepare a big piece of meat, that was a big to-do. Almost every mother I knew growing up made sure that their family got the basic 4 food group. So everybody had dairy, right? All the time. And I also remember that the white bread, right? And then the vegetables, which were rare, and when you did get them, they were almost always boiled along with the roast beef, so you kind of look and say, is that a carrot or is that a potato? I'm not sure. It's been there all day. Who knows what it is? You just eat it. But you weren't really eating a meal to have your carrot or your potato. You were in it for the meat and the muffin and the margarine and the milk, or if you're an adult, coffee with sugar and all that so you can get to make room for dessert. And you're thinking, yeah, I can, and did you ever see that? People unbutton their pants. Yeah, I can make room for that, or unbuttoning, they're up here. Where's it going? It can't get in the stomach. It's going to be in your esophagus all night. And of course, it was a big piece of dessert. Nobody gave it a little tiny sliver. And of course, later, all those people got sick. It was expected when you grew up, as I did and most of you did, it was expected that when you hit 40, you would be overweight and you weren't exercising. If you had a woman in the family, she more often than not would have diabetes. But now when I look at kids and I look at them in the fast food restaurants and I see what they're eating and I see how we're encouraging them to eat this, and I'm thinking, wow, the consequences.
Because of the horrendous diets that these children are on, which are extremely depleted of nutrients, but very high in calories, white flour, white sugar, and so on, and poor abnormal fats, hydrogenated fats, which are finally being recognized as a problem, these children actually become obese.
Children are being pandered to by the commercials, the TVs, the free promotionals in the fast food restaurants. Our children don't know any other way.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a little journey of exploring what I feel are the most damaging parts of the American diet. And in the process of looking at what's wrong with the American diet, I'm hopeful that we can start a 4-step elimination program, going from being overweight to normal weight. Now, the key to this program is the following. I don't want you to lose weight unless you're going to be healthier in the process.
Diets don't work. If you go on a diet, inevitably you're going to go off a diet. When you're on a diet, you feel like you're deprived, like you can't have the foods that you want, and it just doesn't feel very good. Instead, it makes more sense to gradually change habits. It takes a little while to get a new habit established, but once it's established, you can maintain it without feeling badly, and then maintain the weight loss that develops.
My interest is getting you healthy. If you get healthy, the weight is normally going to come down. And I'm going to show you people in this audience who have followed this process. They haven't gained the weight back, and they're healthier today than they were back then. Every time I turn on one of the infomercials and tell, lose 43 pounds today in the next hour. $19.95 and we'll give you this, and all for, no, $12. We've seen those ads, right? And then you see some little waif of a person, so small they turn sideways, you can't see him, says, yes, I followed this. I used to be like this. Sure you do. And digital animation made you like that too. No, there shouldn't be any gimmick in any of this, and it should be easy. The hard part about doing this program is that you have to surrender all the excuses you've used in the past not to.
People who are overweight frequently feel very badly about themselves. They see themselves as being weak-willed or having no willpower, and think the kinds of things that they tell themselves, not just about their body, they don't like their body, but then that generalizes, and they don't like other parts of themselves. So that being overweight really undermines a person's sense of self-value and self-esteem.
As a nation, we tend to use food as a tranquilizer, as something that actually gives pleasure to people who are anxious, depressed, conflicted. And what happens is they get temporary highs the way somebody would get from a drug. Many people have deficiencies in certain brain chemicals called neurotransmitters. And again, depending on what their lifestyle is, they can actually become addicted to certain foods.
The biggest addiction in America is comfort addiction, trying to get people beyond believing that everything has to be instantaneous. What if we didn't choose instant gratification, but rather instead we put a realistic goal, ideal health, not just good health, not just the absence of disease, which means nothing. Just looking at someone, you don't know what's going on in the arterial walls. You don't know if their carotid artery is blocked.
The problems with obesity is that the high blood sugars, the high blood pressure that goes along with it, the high cholesterol, the high triglycerides, you don't feel it. When you're young and you're obese, you can function. It's when you get obese, when you get a little older, your body starts to go into decline.
Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, bad as they are, when you're overweight, you increase the severity and the duration and the mortality, the death. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to look at diets. What's wrong with diets?
I've tried low-cal diets, low-carb diets.
Weight Watchers, Trim Spa.
The cabbage soup diet, the Atkins diet, the Sugar Busters diet.
Too many to even mention.
The diets work for a while and then I eat the same way and I gain weight.
I've tried many other diets, not many of them. I really haven't had good results with anything.
I'm tired of failing at diets.
I think they failed because they were not generated specifically for my problems.
They failed because they didn't deal with me and my particular metabolism.
The concept that one diet fits all of Americans is invalid. The old adage that you can read a diet book and follow it and lose weight, and that's going to be the one to keep you healthy for life, is totally untrue.
One of the main reasons for people being overweight is the use of various fad diets, because the diets result in them becoming more stressed, becoming more depleted in neurotransmitters, so they wind up, after they reach a certain point, where it just reverses and they wind up most of the time gaining more weight than they lost in the first place.
These fad diets are not good. Right now, we have the low carbohydrate craze, which I'm not totally against as long as it's done right. But the problem with a lot of these diets, where they're giving almost no carbohydrates, you have a problem. They will cause a weight loss, but what happens after 6 months? I have had a number of patients in my practice that are on these high-fat, very high-protein, low-carbohydrate diets. They plateau. I've had a number of people that had serious health problems with it, and after a while, they will break and start to take carbohydrates and they put all the weight back on.
I was very appreciative of Atkins' research into carbohydrate reactions and insulin resistance. However, I think the diet went far too far. People who were starving literally and craving were so happy to know they could have an overabundance of food that they went far too high fat, far too high volume, because in the end, calories still count. You still have to know about calories. And so I think people went off the track. They're not eating healthfully. They're eating high fat. And even though they may lose weight, and some do not, even though they may lose weight, you have to consider the heart health risk as well.
Robert Atkins was a personal friend of mine, and he was also my patient. But I have a lot of ambivalence about his legacy to the science of nutrition. Unfortunately, I believe, and my belief is based on extensive experience of patients who were on Atkins diet, that almost always these people lost weight. Eventually, they gained more weight. They ended up heavier and sicker.
Everybody I know has been on a diet, and they've lost weight, and they've gained it back. You have to understand basic metabolism, and here's basic metabolism. We still have the genes of the primordials. We still have in our bodies genes that the cave dwellers had. Whatever they found, they ate and gorged on. And knowing that the woman was not the hunter, but rather the gatherer, and was the one that had to bear the pregnancy, and therefore needed more energy, women had more fat cells in her body than a man, less lean muscle tissue. As a result, when she ate, she was gorging these cells. So when she did have a child, there'd be energy there. Because after all, when is she going to eat next? Now, when she couldn't find food, her whole metabolism slowed down. When she ate, metabolism sped up. Today, when you don't eat, you try to starve yourself to lose weight, your metabolism slows down. How many times have you heard people say, gee, I'm starving myself and I can't lose weight? All the time. So what we have to understand is, don't starve yourself. Don't overly restrict your calories. We want quality calories in our diet. Now there's two basic types of calories. Empty calories, and we all know what an empty calorie is. Hot dogs, hamburgers, French fries, pizzas, the colas, all of the donuts and bagels, and the white breads, the white rice, and the white potatoes. Those are all refined carbohydrates, concentrated sugars. Our blood sugar zooms up, and our body stores it as fat. And then we have all these animal proteins which are taxing to our liver, taxing to our kidney, hard to digest, load our body with toxins. We don't need that. And when you eliminate, Dairy, a common allergen. Wheat, a common allergen. All of the caffeine, artificial sweeteners, refined carbohydrates, animal proteins. Well, if you're the average person, you say, gee, there's nothing left to eat. Oh, yes, there is, and I'm going to show you what's left. But suddenly you'll find your weight frequently drops. In fact, I've had people drop their weight just by eliminating, not calories. They stayed the same on calories, but they drop weight because the foods they were allergic to was causing the body to hold weight. That's right. When you're allergic to a particular food, your metabolism is affected and you hold the weight. The most common foods that cause your weight to stay up or go up: wheat, corn, dairy, and sugar. You give those up completely, 100%, and watch your weight go down and your energy come up. That is just the first step in this journey. Elimination. Elimination of the bad so we can include the good. I'm Gary Knoll. Right now we're going to go to your local station where I'm going to ask if you would please consider the significance of this station in broadcasting programs all day and all night that serve your interest. I'm hopeful that you'll see how important this program is in also serving your interest. Please call the number on your screen and give a contribution to this station. They have some very wonderful premiums to share with you. We'll be back for part 2 in just a moment. Hi, Tom.
Oh my God,
Hi,
Gary
buddy.
Knoll. How are you?
I'm excellent.
What are you doing here?
What? I'm here to do a makeover, Tom. Today it's all about you. You honoring you. And hopefully by you honoring you, you'll be able to see what it is that you might have not been doing to your advantage so that you're going to continue on your road to health, lose a whole lot of weight, get a lot healthier than what you've ever been. All right?
Great.
We're going to start by going into your refrigerator.
No, we're not.
Yeah, Tom, we have to.
No.
Yeah, yes. Here's Tom's kitchen. Cupboard? Ooh, 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 ooh. Well, we've got macaroni and cheese and breadcrumbs and sugar and cookies and more cheese and cake mixes. Now, Tom, this is where it really gets ugly. We got colas, and we got bacon, we got hot dogs, and we got Jell-O, and we've got milk and cream and by the way, isn't it nice? You do have a vegetable, Tom. My God, I didn't think you'd have anything healthy. They made ketchup a vegetable group just for you, Tom. Bread, white bread. They've got trans fatty acids in there. That's bad for your heart, all right? Processed carbohydrates, that's wheat, that's gluten, that's a common allergen. We really don't have anything that I would consider healthy in your refrigerator. I did see one thing. A pork chops, you certainly don't want the pork. You've got an apple, but it's not an organic apple, all right? And it could have paraffin wax on it. And that paraffin wax you don't want either. So what we want to do is this. We're going to take everything in this refrigerator and throw it away. You're going to have a kitchen now that's going to be filled with beautiful living foods, fresh fruits and vegetables and herbs, the things that give life, that cleanse the system, that rejuvenate the body, that invigorate, and are low in calories.
The diet that we described, that is this fast food, high carbohydrate, high fat diet, basically predisposes to effects on the heart. So that's the circulatory system, causes hardening of the arteries. It predisposes to blockages, heart attacks. It affects the brain vessels, so you have strokes. Then you get into the respiratory system, which is the system that we breathe. It makes inflammatory bronchitis. This is barring no environmental, because environmental even adds to this. Then you have the musculoskeletal system. You wear down your joints because the food you're eating cause inflammation. You wear down the lining of the stomach because you're eating too many saturated fats that are too acidic. So every system of the body is affected by the American diet and the way we eat.
Most of my friends are unhealthy. In fact, they're all unhealthy. I have no healthy friends. I have no one in my family's healthy. But it's also interesting to see how, since many of us have grown up together, since we were kids, and we've stayed in contact. In fact, I have friends that I grew up together who work with me. And you see the consequences to smoking and eating all the wrong foods, drinking all the wrong things, not exercising, dealing with stress inappropriately. And one day you wake up and you think, gee whiz, the both of us are the same age. Why is it we don't look the same age? Why don't we act the same age? Why don't we feel the same age? And I don't think we appreciate how the kind of program I'm suggesting of getting rid, not moderation, a moderate amount of a toxin still means it's toxic. And what's a moderate amount? I don't believe there is such a thing as a moderate amount of a bad thing. Just stay away from the bad stuff. I think people treat it as if we have no discipline. We have discipline. We just have to use it in the right way. We have to break ourselves of some of our comfort foods and comfort beverages.
When you eat sugar, which raises your blood sugar fast, there is a rebound effect. Your body starts to produce insulin and the blood sugar goes down. And then the person goes into a funk, in some cases really severe problems and anxiety, severe fatigue. But in many cases, the blood sugar is associated with many different symptoms. And the tendency then is for people to try to feed that brain again by eating sugar again. So you have this roller coaster situation where people are trying constantly to feel better by continuously going for that quick fix.
On this table are foods that most Americans consume. Let's just take a look at some of the things Americans consume. We consume ice cream, a lot of it. You're looking at a saturated fat, lots of calories, and these are really empty calories. And then we have French fries. All this empty calories and grease. And then here is the hamburger. This was just purchased down the street here. My God, it looks like someone threw up on there, doesn't it? And the bun. Well, there's something that's absolutely worthless. And that's definitely going to end up in all the wrong places on your body. But this is probably the #1 culprit in America. This is sugar. White poison. Now, take a look at how much sugar we're dealing with here. We measured this out twice because the last time I was on a national television program with a documentary, I did the same thing, poured it out of a bag, but we had pre-measured it. And I got a complaint letter from the Sugar Association saying, you know, that's not the right amount of sugar. Yes, this is how much a teenager eats each day. All right, this is what your kid is putting into their body each day. And you wonder why they're bouncing off the school. How many kids do you think in America go to school as a normal kid when they woke up, get absolutely overstimulated with this sugar, then have a cola, now they've got caffeine and sugar. Man, you want to hit your brain twice and cause a kid to bounce off the walls, have no focus, feel like they've got to do something, they can't sit still, they can't concentrate, and the teacher says, now I just noticed some symptoms here, Jimmy, and I think you better see the psychologist. I think you have ADD or ADHD. Jimmy doesn't have ADD or ADHD. Jimmy has this in his system, all right? This shouldn't be consumed by anybody. It's garbage. And the fact that we're now finally, after decades, being honest about it, like we couldn't be honest about the effects of sugar on our kids. We served our kids up as sacrificial animals so these companies and their associations can make a buck. Shame on those people who invest in sugar companies. And then, of course, here's one of America's perennial favorites. I wouldn't say not to buy this. I think there's a role for this. In fact, I think there's a role for this. All right, this muffin here. I think both of these are good in the following way. You could pick lint off. You could. Just don't eat this stuff. And potato chips, now there's something that really, that's just as good as vitamin C. I don't think so. What? I'm fat. Eat me. No, we're not going to eat you. Oh, and this, God, Jell-O. It's Jell-O. It doesn't come out. That's good. If it never came out and stayed there. Mayonnaise, don't eat it. Colas.
Big time problem. Look how greasy I am. God. Now imagine if I'm greasy on the outside, what's that doing to my inside? And then of course we have, well, this is vomit here. This is a pizza. Allergy, wheat, allergy, dairy. Rotted meat. Yeah, rotted meat. This meat doesn't go bad. Any meat that doesn't go bad is not good for you. This has been around about 300 years, Gary. So this is the table that I say, forget about it. Forget about it. Don't touch this stuff. Now this, beautiful mushrooms with spinach and arugula and sauces, natural parfaits of blackberries, blueberries, kiwis are in there. A wonderful raw soup with sea vegetables and lentils. And there's now at least 35 different types of ice cream that are made with no sugar and made with no dairy. So you can still find your pleasure in enjoying food. Now let me just show you what I would choose if I were you when next time you go into a supermarket. Mind you, you're not going to eat this if you don't buy it. And if you don't know what it is and what it does, you won't buy it. So I'm going to help you. Right off the bat, if you're overweight, you want celery. Celery juice is your most important juice because it's a natural diuretic. It will flow out all those toxins that are stored in your fat. Remember, you don't want to be losing fat that has a lot of pesticides, a lot of chemicals that you've accumulated over the years and over-toxify your liver and your kidneys. This is the great detoxifier. Celery juice, lots of juice, and it helps your body lose that edema, swelling around the calves, the hands, the face. Great. Then you've got beets. Beets are good in the blood-building nutrients, and they provide a sweetness to the juice as well. Now this is something people almost never eat, but you've all heard of it. This is fennel. Now you can eat the little tiny sprigs of fennel as a mouth freshener, but if you cut the actual fennel, this here, into pieces, bite-sized pieces, and you put it in a salad, it's crunchy and it kind of tastes like licorice, but it's very good for your digestion. One of the best single nutrients you can have for digestion. Fennel for phytochemicals, blood purifying, and good digestion. Now, all these fresh herbs like basil, oregano, thyme, dill, parsley, these are all very powerful bitters. And bitters are good for digestion and for detoxifying. Throw them in salads. The radish family is one of your best anti-cancer families. And the radishes should be eaten, I would say, once every other day. Swiss chard. Stir fry Swiss chard with shiitake mushrooms, garlic, cayenne pepper, and a little bit of olive oil. Delicious as a side dish. Then we have kale. Kale and Swiss chard can be juiced also. Then we have lettuces, all types of lettuce, like chicory lettuce, which is a bitter, very good for digestion. And you have spinach. Of course, spinach spills blood. And this is the old-fashioned lettuce. This is just an iceberg lettuce. If all the things in the supermarket I'd tell you not to eat, it would be iceberg lettuce. Everything else has more nutrients. Now over here we have some of the tubers. We have squash, parsnips. We don't have enough parsnips and squash. And then you can get this kind of garlic now. They've taken the work out of peeling and pressing the garlic. Garlic and everything. Garlic lowers blood pressure. It's anti-parasitic. It's antiviral. It lowers cholesterol levels. It's a blood purifier. It's the ultimate detoxifier. Avocados, yes, they have some calories, but they're healthy calories because the fats are healthy. This is not going to make you fat. In fact, eating avocado in a healthy diet will actually allow you to lose weight. It's what people put on avocados that really is not healthy, but avocados have the kind of oils that help your skin, help your hair, help your nails, help your immune system. So avocados are good. When you flood the body each day with your 9 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables, and you use variety all year round, using different ones, and you juice these, then you're giving the body the real enzymes, the catalysts of life, the spark plugs for energy, fiber, 40 to 50 grams a day, the different colors of the chlorophylls, the phytochemicals, the antioxidants, and the trace elements. The full spectrum of what we need to prevent disease in the first case and to maximize wellness in the second. It's not difficult to eat right, but you got to start here, making the right selection. Ideally, Ideally, from my ideals, a woman should be about 16% body fat. The average woman's probably closer around 23, 24, 25%. Men should be around 10 to 12% body fat, because remember, in your fat, you're also holding hormones and toxins that when the fat is burned for energy, now you're flooding your body with toxins. So we want to lose the weight, but we want to lose it naturally. Exercise, reduce your calories, eat more natural foods. When you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, you're eating garlic and onions and healthy oils, then you're never going to be hungry, and lots of water, lots of fresh water, and lots of juices. That's a good eating plan. Then you exercise on top of it, and you eliminate these from your diet. Then watch the weight come down, because A, you don't have the allergens, B, you're not eating because of stress, because you're also going to take time to relax and exercise your brain by de-stressing it.
Stress is a major key for turning on the adrenal glands. Cortisol production, insulin production from the pancreas all increase during times of stress. That goes way back to medieval times, to prehistoric times. Cortisol signals the body to layer fat. Insulin signals the body to layer fat. You have arteries that become clogged. You have weight that cannot be lost even though a person may be eating the same diet they've always eaten. Stress management requires exercise, whether a person is just walking briskly 20, 30 minutes a day, or whether they're jogging, or whether they're swimming.
De-stress naturally, not through food. Tom, when you started to realize that you wanted to finally change everything, what was the biggest problem you were going to face?
I think it was the stress of work and the fact that I'm a stress eater, and when things don't go my way, I've tended to eat too much, and now I've tried to lick that. And the fact that I'm now considering it body, mind, and spirit has helped me so much, because every time I want to reach for a candy bar or something stupid that I shouldn't do, I reach for a couple of almonds or something, and I put them in my mouth instead, or I just have a glass of juice. Things like that. It's working out very well.
We're going to go in here. We're going to do some yoga.
Okay, great.
We're going to do some meditation.
Very good.
Stretch out.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
And exhale, take the left arm over and lift up to your arm.
We're here to support your efforts in the journey to wellness. Along the way, you're going to lose your weight and keep it off. That is the goal of this exercise, not just losing weight. A lot of people lose weight without getting healthy. This idea is to lose weight and get healthy and overcome those illnesses. This station is trying to maintain its health, its financial health, to continue bringing you outstanding programs every day. Please call the number on your television and support the wonderful work that this station and all of its members and volunteers require. Call right now. We'll be back in a moment and take on all those conditions. So if you have fibromyalgia and arthritis, if you have elevated blood pressure, if you've had a stroke, if you're worried about a heart attack, if you have depression, diabetes, we're going to handle those and give you some interesting protocols in our next segment. I'd like to deal now with a lot of conditions that many people have and show you that there are protocols that will help you. Here are some of the herbs that are known to help if you have fatigue. Astragalus and echinacea. They're also good with antiviral and antibacterial. Why? Because a lot of fatigue is due to bacteria and viruses that attack the immune system, and when the immune system is being attacked, the body conserves its energy. It's just like a dog or cat. You ever notice when they get sick, they go someplace and stay quiet? Well, the human body likes to slow down and conserve energy so that it can fight the viruses and bacteria. But we get very busy, and then we feed the viruses and bacteria by feeding sugar and coffee. In effect, we try to almost destroy our immune system, but what we do when we're sick, we should be building the immune system. Echinacea and astragalus help strengthen the immune system and overcome fatigue. We also have things like Chinese green tea That's very, very good. Milk thistle is very good for the liver. Also Paudarco, P-A-U-D-A-R-C-O, and St. John's wort. Very good for antivirus. Also, non-dairy acidophilus replaces the healthy bacteria in the intestine. You need good bacteria in the intestine. Every time you take an antibiotic, you create bad bacteria. So we want good bacteria in the intestine. Acidophilus does that. Coenzyme Q10, great for the heart, gives energy to the heart, gives energy to the brain. It's the most important nutrient for preventing heart attacks in our society and helping a person prevent senility because it's feeding the mitochondria. You need coenzyme Q10. You also need calcium and magnesium. Magnesium and calcium are great for the heart, also help prevent a heart attack, but very good because it relaxes the muscles and makes the muscles less fatigued. We also need L-carnitine. Carnitine, 500 milligrams or so, can help prevent heart disease and also gives the heart more energy. You forget, what am I giving my heart, my brain, my lungs, my kidneys for energy? You want to give them the nutrients or the foods or juices. Chlorophyll in the form of juices is great because that gives energy. And also, watermelon juice is great. Watermelon with lemon and lime is terrific for energy. We also want to give B6. In fact, the B complex, 25 to 50 milligrams, very good. And B12, a lot of Americans don't have enough B12 in their system, especially vegetarians. We also want manganese, 5 milligrams, that's good. And proteolytic enzymes to help our body break down the food we're digesting because so many people have eaten the wrong food for so long that when they do eat food, it doesn't fully digest. And partially digested food goes in the intestine, and once in the intestine, it then leaks into the system, and your body actually attacks partially digested foods as if it's a foreign body. Therefore, overstimulating the immune system and hence depressing the immune system simultaneously. So proteolytic enzymes help restart that process of fully digesting food, getting it really broken down. We also want vitamin E, which is not only good for your heart and also keeping your blood naturally thin, and vitamin C with it, and vitamin C anywhere from 2 to 10,000 milligrams is terrific for giving you a boost to fatigue. And DMG, dimethylglycine, that helps with fatigue of the muscles. And I think very, very important is to have 2 to 3 glasses of fresh organic vegetable juice per day. Supercharge that system, and you're supercharging the immune system, and the better your immune system is, the less fatigue you have. Also, when you stay away from sugar and caffeine, you help with vitamin C and pantothenic acid and B complex to rebuild the adrenal function, and your adrenals help you with your normal energy. So those are some very important things for all people. And men and women over the age of 45, test yourself for DHEA. Because when you are deficient DHEA, fatigue is always what follows it. Now, the next condition I'm going to talk about is pain. Fatigue and pain are the number 1 and 2 problems in the United States today, and they're associated with a lot of medical conditions. For example, for pains, the herbs for pains would include angelica, black hawk, cramp bark, all very good. And they help, and valerian help relieve muscle pains, along with magnesium relieves muscle pains. And also, if you have a tea, and if you make your tea out of gotu kola, rosemary, willow bark, it helps turn off pain in the joints, very good. And if you have arthritic pain or fibromyalgia pain, to have 2 tablespoons of cod liver oil on an empty stomach in the morning tremendously helps with arthritis. All right, and I'm talking about staying with the diet. I'm no margarine, no butter, none of that. But the oils are what are really important. And DHA from fish or fish oil, flaxseed oil is also good for pain. And for women who have PMS pain, same protocol, except vitamin B6 for 2 days before your period, 100 milligrams. And fresh papaya and papaya juice. To make a juice, throw it in your blender. You put some fresh pineapple and papaya, and that is great for digestive disorders with a little bit of aloe vera in it. It's great for ulcers also. Then coenzyme Q10, the free-form amino acids, garlic. L-lysine is good. MSM, which is a sulfur-containing nutrient, and pycnogenol, or the grapeseed extract, that's also very good. Vitamin C with bioflavonoids, and vitamin K, and zinc and silica. Those are all good for pain. Now, what you can do is you can take a little bit of that at a time and gradually bring one thing every week or so into your system so you don't overwhelm your system. You don't just take everything at once. So many people today have diabetes. It's virtually epidemic. Adult type 2 diabetes, and also we're getting children who traditionally only have one type of diabetes, which is juvenile diabetes, and that can't be reversed. It can be maintained with insulin, but now we're seeing children with adult set on diabetes, and that's we've never seen before. Children are getting adult diseases strictly because of our diet. For diabetes, first and foremost, you need chromium picolinate, about 200 micrograms 3 times a day. You need a lot of vitamin C, and again, no two people are going to have the same amount. You have to take it throughout the day and see what your vitamin C threshold is. When you've taken too much, you're going to get loose stools or diarrhea, so you back it back. And you take a buffered form of vitamin C. Herbs, dandelion is great. Eyebright, blueberry, ginkgo biloba, pau d'arco, aloe, ginger, evening primrose, false unicorn root, onion, fenugreek. These are all good herbs and nutrients for diabetes. And vanadyl sulfate is great. Magnesium at about 1,000 milligrams, zinc at about 25 to 50 milligrams, coenzyme Q10 about 100 milligrams, manganese 5 milligrams. Psyllium, a lot of diabetics don't have enough fiber, about 35 to 50 grams of fiber a day in the diet. Maitake mushrooms, M-A-I-T-A-K-E, it's a very medicinal mushroom, so you want that. And then you want a multiple vitamin, plus you want to make sure that you get grapeseed extract or drink grape juice. Now, if you're diabetic, you have to dilute it, but grapefruit juice with some grape juice is good for you. Again, you dilute it with aloe vera. These are the things we should be using, along with a diet that has slow-releasing sugars. Like when you eat brown rice, it releases the sugar slower than white rice. If you have a baked potato, like a sweet potato, it is digested slower than a white potato. So the complex carbohydrates are very important. And nuts. Walnuts and almonds, pine nuts and pistachios are good. Then heart disease, our #1 disease as a killer, and that includes stroke. And here's the things that you should have. First and foremost, garlic. And to help prevent a stroke, an onion a day helps prevent a stroke. So you're preventing stroke, you're thinning the blood naturally, it's helping lower cholesterol and blood pressure, that's garlic and onion. And you can eat them raw, sauteed, or juiced. And then we want cayenne. Cayenne pepper is great for circulation. It stimulates microcirculation in the body. We also want ginger, hawthorn berry, about 150 milligrams of hawthorn a day. Again, that can help protect you from a heart attack. Coenzyme Q10 at 100 milligrams protects you from a heart attack because it feeds the cells, the fatty acids in the heart, the mitochondria, so it has chronic or constant energy. Then we want tansy, motherwort, Indian snake root, black cohosh, bilberry, vitamin C, vitamin E, the essential fatty acids, L-arginine, magnesium, niacin. These are all nutrients that you need to help prevent a heart attack and keep your heart and circulatory system strong, your microcirculation, your brain, your extremities really moving. And again, with that diet and exercise and stress management, you're doing a lot to help yourself. And finally, we go to depression. And depression is so important because so many Americans think there's something wrong with their brain and that they need a tranquilizer or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And by the way, for all of you on statin drugs, the statin drugs will depress or destroy coenzyme Q10. So you've got to make sure you're getting that coenzyme Q10. For depression, the herbs I found most beneficial for helping people with depression, St. John's wort, skullcap, hops, theanine, wild oats. Very important. The supplements for depression, the B complex, generally at 50 to 100 milligrams, folic acid, vitamin C, zinc, choline and inositol, phosphatidylcholine, also what is called GABA, G-A-B-A, that's gamma-aminobutyric acid, NADH. Those nutrients do wonders for helping maintain healthy brain chemistry. So when you have all those nutrients and a healthy diet and you have a healthy thyroid and you are processing your stress appropriately and you have someone you can speak with who's treating you with love and respect, then there's no reason
for you to be depressed. And all of that will help then reduce weight, elevate your mood, and remember, every time you exercise, you're flooding the body with endorphins.
The worst tragedy of all the diets which have been promoted is because they take the focus away from the central issue, which is physical fitness and exercise.
Exercise is critical not only for opening up the cell to correct metabolism, but for stress release as well. Person has to get out of their own environment. They have to change the hormonal flow, increase the endorphins. Any person that I have ever worked with who exercises regularly without overemphasizing the exercise has come back feeling more relaxed, healthier, and reports that they feel far better.
1 hour of exercise will secrete enough endorphins for about 6 hours of a very high feeling. But also you're speeding up your metabolism. And when you speed up the metabolism, you burn more calories. Even when you sleep, if you've exercised that morning, you're going to burn more calories that night, even when you're sleeping, because you exercised that morning. Versus the person that goes on these high-protein diets and doesn't exercise every day, they'll lose weight, but the metabolism hasn't been changed. So when you are not exercising, you'll lose weight, and always you'll gain it right back up to where you were, unless you exercise, and then you lower the body's appetite mechanism, and your metabolism goes up, and you'll burn calories. My goodness, the people that I help, they exercise enough that almost anything that they would eat in the way of calories, they don't gain weight. The body's burning it up. Calories do count, but if you're eating living foods, healthy foods, natural foods, and exercising, they are not a part of the same formula for gaining weight as if you were eating denatured, processed, empty calorie food and not exercising. There's a lot of confusion about what kind of dietary approach a person should take. And of course, those who advocate some real quick fix are always going to be the ones that people line up to take. But I think we've all seen that those do not sustain the benefit to the person using them, and they don't make you healthier. What I tried to do was to create a program that would actually get people healthy, and in the process, a side effect would be the loss of weight. Now, I never treated anyone for disease, and yet, listen to the conditions these people no longer have that they did when they started this. And I'd like to ask you, do you know anyone on the Atkins program or any of these other diets can say that these major conditions were improved or eliminated completely just by lifestyle and behavior modification? This program works. Let's take a look now.
My name's Mike Lauro.
My name is Bridget.
Hi, my name is Sheree.
2 years ago, I started the protocol.
I've been on your protocol for the past 2 years.
I started out several years ago in a health support group that was run in New York City.
For the past basically 20 years, I was living a very stressful life, and I didn't know what to do about that.
I could not lose weight, and I was gaining more and more weight. And I was very depressed and fatigued.
So the doctor told me I had high blood pressure, I was swelling my shoulders, swelling my knees.
At 30 years old, I wasn't able to run anymore or walk or even want a bicycle.
I had degenerative arthritis. Sometimes I had to use a cane. I work in sales, so I had to be on my feet all day, and I was about to quit my job because I just couldn't stand on my feet.
By following the protocol that Gary laid out for us, I had achieved a weight loss of 80 pounds.
I was 235 pounds.
I lost 35 pounds, and I've been able to keep it off.
Now I'm weighing about 185 pounds.
I never once went hungry, never missed a meal.
In 12 months, I lost 85 pounds.
And within 4 months, I've lost about 55 pounds. And for the rest, 2 months after that, I lost another 10 pounds, and I haven't put that weight back since then.
Now my ankles don't swell up. I run 10, 20 miles, no swelling. All my blood pressure now is normal. Now I just have a lot more energy.
At age 43, I finished my second marathon after losing this weight.
I no longer have back pain. My knees doesn't hurt anymore, and I have mental clarity.
I'm continually losing weight. I've reversed arthritis, diabetes.
I reversed my arthritis. My depression is incredibly improved. Age spots are gone. I just have such a sense of joy in my life, and I have a lot more energy than I ever had.
And one thing that I'm truly grateful for is that food no longer control me. I have total control of my appetite. For comfort, I don't go to food anymore.
I have learned to control my stress.
My whole game plan was not to really lose weight, but to eat healthy. And what happened was that I just lost weight in the process. And then when people look at me and say, wow, what you doing, George? You know, you lose a whole lot of weight. And in my neighborhood, if you lose a whole lot of weight kind of quickly, they think you're on something. Now I say, you know, so.
In changing my lifestyle, that has had a very positive effect on my son, because he suddenly quit eating any kind of junk food with his friends. When he goes with his friends, he's very careful about what he eats.
Anybody can follow it. You just have to find the strength inside to give up what's not serving you anymore and to start putting in healthy foods that will change your world, I promise you.
I feel like I'm a total new person, and I feel free and powerful.
I have lost 107 pounds as of today. I've gone from a 52-inch waist to a 38-inch waist. I have, my doctors have taken me off all of my diabetic medicines, which I was taking 4 a day. I also had hypertension, and I'm on very little medicine now. I'm on thyroid medicine, and that's about all. So that's the good news. I have kept this weight off for almost a year now. It'll be a year this month. So it has done wonders for me.
So what have we learned? We've learned that 131 million Americans are overweight, and we have elevations of diabetes and heart disease and cancers and asthma and fibromyalgia and all forms of physical pain and suffering of disease and mental problems as well, emotional problems. If you keep trying these high-protein, low-carb diets, you keep going on these high-fat and low-carb diets, you're not exercising, how do you expect anything to be different? It's not going to be. And yet you see people who now are different, and they're improving. They didn't revert back. They've lost weight, pain is gone, blood sugar's normalized, heart conditions improved or reversed. These are real people with real stories. Almost everyone I've ever met has had the power, discipline, and commitment to master something in their life. We all do something, and most of us do it well. But what about the things we have not mastered, that we've assumed we're helpless at, like understanding our health, our body, our hormones, our aging process, the disease process? We assume that's only the province of medicine or science. It is not. Let us start to master our lives and make healthy choices, and then watch the benefits accrue. I'm Gary Null. Thank you very much for watching.